Welcome back to the NetherKast. I am Cyborg, and I'm joined, as always, by Temp, Razor, and Shad. And we are going to be reviewing Mortal Kombat 1. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. And if you haven't already, we'd greatly appreciate it if you would like the video. And if you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? And hit the subscribe button. Because we are a Mortal Kombat focused YouTube channel. We cover all aspects of Mortal Kombat, including all the old games and the current game, so on and so forth. And we sprinkle in a little bit of other fighting games and other interests that we have as well, but mainly Mortal Kombat. And we deep dive into all things, including the lore, the gameplay, everything. So that being said, once again, thanks for tuning in. And I'm going to kick it over to Razor if you want to take over, or Shad, whichever. Whoever wants to take control while I finish my spaghetti, and then we're going to be reviewing the game. So somebody take charge, and then we'll go bit by bit and cover all aspects of the game and let you know how we feel.
Well, there is a lot to discuss. There's a lot of separate environments in any game. Gameplay, sound, graphics, story, single player experience, multiplayer experience. What do we want to touch first, do we think?
Not single player experience. Let's hold off on that. Let's put a pin in that real quick. I would just say I would say like just what's everyone's like in match experience, who's everyone playing? What are y'all having a good time? What have you found that you enjoy doing right now in the match? Because I think the cool thing about this game is that everyone's doing something a little different. Unless you play Baraka Cyrax, but everyone else is doing something a little bit different. So, yeah, that's I would say let's start there.
All right. Well, in terms of gameplay, it's a bit odd for me because I started playing this game and we had our reserve like our early access or whatever your premium edition, early edition, 1 week in advance of everyone else access, and I went as of course I do right into story mode. And then following that, I just kind of ran through towers with every single character just to see all their endings. I just want to get all the story stuff done. And in the final analysis, I'm probably going to be sticking with Smoke. He's a lot of fun. I am enjoying messing people up with him and Serena. Not people, because I don't have PlayStation Plus at the moment. I mean imaginary computer people. But that's my team at the moment. I should be learning Kung Lao and Serena, but I don't want to. Because I'm a filthy eschewer of my duties. But I'll get there, I swear to God. So I was doing that for, the first week, and then my smart TV died. Like, it just crapped itself as I was doing Katana Trials one day. So I went a full week with no access to the game while everyone was playing it, but I'd gotten all the story stuff out of the way, and I've had time to germinate my thoughts on that, but that's for later on. I only really started playing again about 2 nights ago when I was gifted with a new TV for my birthday. I have the best fiancé in the world, and if you disagree, I will kill you. So now I'm only starting to go through invasions mode, but I'm having fun experimenting with which cameos I like. I enjoy, as everyone does, I enjoy Serena and her horrible projectiles a great deal. Cyrax is a lot of fun too. And that's it. It's a matter of like finding fun pop-up combos with Smoke. It's funny actually. Like I was thinking initially that the way that Smoke played was just so very different from the things that he used to be able to do, but he's still got that capability to like keep you in the air, ultimate MK3 style with like consistent knock-up combos once or twice or thrice, depending if you know what you're doing. I haven't really delved into like the crazy, insane combos that people are finding. I've seen some videos of them and they are a thing to behold. It is terrifying what you can do to people in this game. So I think that the main gameplay concern of 11, which I think a lot of people didn't like, the breakaway stuff, the inability to do large combos and mess people up for 40% of their bar, I think that's something that we can safely say has been very well addressed. In my spare time, I'm also enjoying a little bit of Havoc here and there, some Ashura. Reiko, not as much as I wanted to, but he's not bad. I have some fun with him. Temp? Razor?
Well, I would say probably the highest praise I can give this game is that if you find an aspect of this game you don't like, there is usually a cameo solution to it. And I think one of the things I noticed very early on with MK12 is that with the right cameo, and there's a few cameos that can do this actually, you can pretty much make any tactic or particularly any string safe. So in MKX, and I think even to maybe a larger degree MK9, you had a lot of strings, but there was really like 2 or 3 that you were going to primarily build your offense around. And the other strings were either useless or just very situational. Now this varied from character to character, variation to variation, but that was generally the case. However, in this game, like if you have like Cyrax ambush, you can make every single string you have safe, and so it really opens up what you want to do with the game. You can use every part of the buffalo if you want, and if that's your goal. Now, if that's not your goal, like for example, let's say your goal is just not to deal with zoning. Well, in that case, Sub-Zero frozen armor is going to solve that. In that case, you're not going to have the same sort of freedom you would have with Cyrax, but you can basically tailor the game around your cameo setup to really. I don't want to get too deep into the other stuff yet, but essentially, if there's something you really don't like about the game, there is a solution to it. Now, I think some of the problems with this game start to arise when you start exploring the cast and you have to go outside of your solution that you found. When I was playing Lee May Sub, I was having a really good time. Once I started deviating from Lee May Sub, with maybe the exception of Katana Striker is still a lot of fun, but that's when the problems with this game really started to come out for me. And when I was playing my other 6 characters, I was like, man, this is getting exhausting. I still think overall the game is good, but it comes down to how you approach it. And it comes down to whether is that what you're going to want to be doing for the next for the life cycle of the game. And that's a whole other conversation. But I think like everything in MK12, there's good and bad. So without getting too deep right now, I would say my favorite thing right now in the game, surprisingly, is sub cameo. I think sub cameo ended up being extremely interesting. I really, really enjoyed using that part of the game. We'll get to my least favorite stuff later. We'll work into that, but that's
I was about to
right
ask. I don't know what the hell to do now.
About the Sub-Zero cameo or about the bad stuff of the game?
Yeah, about the stuff that you least liked. I mean, this whole thing can't be just gameplay, but geez.
Well, I mean, we can get into that now if y'all want. Well, actually, Razor, you go next. What do you got for us, Razor?
Yeah. So I'm on the PC, and the game crashes a lot.
Not strictly speaking gameplay, but a valid concern.
So I'm just sort of setting the stage for what my experience has been, because I in the first 2 weeks that I've had it was grinding invasions like a lot. Like I got to unlocking that boss scorpion skin as fast as I possibly could. Because I'm just fucking desperate to have a scorpion that wears a hood over his fucking hair. I don't even like that outfit, but I'll take it. So, in spite, it is very difficult. Like I have 60 hours in the game, but some sessions, I'd play for like 8 hours and nothing bad would happen except for like visual stuff. Like, oh, every time I do the uppercut brutality, their head floats in the air. Or Sub-Zero has victory animations that don't animate right, stuff like that. But I was still like, sometimes nothing would happen and I'd get like hours and hours and it'd be perfectly fine. And sometimes I'd boot up the game, go to invasions, it would crash trying to load the first fight, boot it back up, go to invasions, it crashes on the same fight, and I would crash like 9 times before it would finally let me play the game some days.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, it's marginally better than the Switch version.
That's true. Here's the thing. This all my experience has been like the first 2 weeks, and then I kind of stopped playing the game after that, and I'll get into why later.
Yeah.
But yeah, in those first, so I don't know if any of the patches have really helped. I know that you read the Steam forums and a lot of people are saying patches made things worse, patches didn't fix anything at all. So I don't know. it could be months and months before they get this thing on par with the consoles, which I guess was the same experience people had with the PC version of MK11, so I can't say it was unexpected or anything like that. It is just frustrating. But yeah, in spite of putting up with the crashes, in those first 2 weeks I put in like 60 hours. And
Pretty good.
most of that was invasions. I played story mode, but I got through it really quickly by skipping all the cutscenes because I had already seen them.
Yeah.
I did all the arcade endings, but not all in a row because I kind of found the arcade ladder boring. So I'd only do it one here, and then I go back to invasions, and then I do another couple endings and go back to invasions. And the thing is, the game, like raw ass fighting game gameplay, I do like it. It feels to me like it is more 11-ish than it is 9 or X-ish, but it's 11 but better. Like, I like that breakers are back. I like cameos. It's more free flowing in how many combos you can do and that kind of thing. It does feel better than 11, but only by a little bit for me.
I think it's a wide margin for me. I think this is a much
Well,
tighter version of what should have been last time.
The thing is, I know that gameplay was the main complaint everybody had with 11, but it actually didn't bother me that much. Like, I thought 11 was an okay game. It was just hindered by the grinding to unlock stuff and the creative decisions like story and costumes and that kind of thing. There are, like, all of those parts of 12, I think, are actually worse than 11. And it has weirdly made me sort of appreciate things in 11 that I was ungrateful for, like how many base costumes in 11 are retro-esque and you don't have to pay for them. Like, Liu Kang has his MK2 pants, and it's just there in the game. Kano has his MK3 outfit, basically, like the young Kano from story mode, and it's just there in the game. You don't have to pay for it.
I have
Johnny
actually,
Cage, it is MK2, well, more 9 because of the tattoo, but you know what I mean. That outfit's just in the game. It's takes a bit to unlock some of these things, but you don't have to pay for them.
Like, I don't mind a little bit of a digging when I know that the stuff I can actually get a hold of is there for me to get a hold of.
Yeah, and
for any complaints I actually might have had about like what was available and what wasn't, in MK11 I was able to make like a couple of really good versions of Sonya, a flawless ultimate MK3 Johnny. Like, there was some really cool stuff you could put together, and I enjoyed that. I always did.
Yeah, base game, without any DLC, the costumes and gear that were available were reminiscent of previous games and of aesthetics I actually want to look at enough that I could build loadouts from the base game that I actually wanted to look at. One of the main reasons that I stopped playing 12 so quickly is I realized that the costumes and gear I'm grinding for isn't any better than the base ones. I don't like looking at any of the characters. And I don't want to so I want to balance the negativity by saying a few positive things, because I did say I do like the gameplay. The thing is, people already know, if they listen to the show, that I'm not a fighting game guy. I don't really play online, so like the core experience is not actually what I look for in a Mortal Kombat game. I look for the single player content, I look for story, I look for art. So no matter how good the gameplay is, if I don't like how the characters look and none of the unlockables are going to make it better for me, then where's the replay value? You know? I've just sort of run out of replay value, of reasons to keep playing. And I thought Invasions was going to be the thing that would save a lot of that, because when the first trailer for Invasions came out, we saw that mini game where you're jumping over and ducking under the fireballs. And I thought, oh, they're going to have some weird mini games like the MK9 Challenge Tower had. It turns out the fireballs one is the only one. There's that.
I gotcha.
There's Test Your Might. and there's fighting people with super armor, and those are the only 3 things you do in Invasions.
Well, there are the swords that drop downwards from the skies, not the balls that go across. Sometimes. In boss
There's
fights.
like one of those ever?
So is it time to talk about the elephant in the room? The fact that this game feels kind of half there.
I didn't want to get into it just yet, but yes, I watched Tom Brady's review of the game. And he was pointing out all these things that other like previous MK games had, or contemporary games like Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 7 and probably Tekken 8 will have features and like online lobbies, stuff like 11 had brutalities, but like you could do mercies if you fucked up, so you'd get a second try. There is code in 12, according to the data miners, for mercies, but it's not active. You can't do mercies right now, at least. That's a big bummer. There's really like weird UI stuff. Like when you go into like your list, there are certain moves. Like Natara has a projectile she can only do if she does that blood sacrifice move first. Havoc has a move he can only do if he like spits the blood on you and makes the tether first. And then like the under the brutalities where it lists what the requirement is to do the brutality, like, oh, you have to be holding down when you do this throw or whatever. You have to press a button to see those extras in the description.
You have to expand the item in detail.
Yeah, you have to press a button to expand, but the white space where the expansion text goes is always there even before you expand. So why do you have to press a button to expand? Why isn't the text just in that white space by default?
I do recall spending like 5 minutes going, how the fuck do I get this corpse taunt to work? And going, oh wait, oh, it's a sub move of another move. All right, that explains
it doesn't show you that unless you know to expand it. If that text was just in the white space by default, you could read it right away instead of knowing you have to press the expand button. It's just an unnecessary extra step. And that you can't pin moves from your menu, from your moves list like you could in the previous game. There's in general, the gist I want to say is that this game feels like it was released unfinished, and knowing it's a little bit bare bones. There's not a lot of stuff to do. There's not a lot of like quality of life features, and it's like I don't want to compare it directly to Street Fighter V because Street Fighter V didn't even have a story mode or arcade ladders. It only had like online versus when it launched. And that's a lot more bare bones than this is, but
the situation is a bit similar, isn't it?
It is.
It reminds me very much of it.
And here's the thing is that we know because Ed Boon straight up told us in an interview that like people have been asking, what did they spend those 4 years doing if this game has so little stuff in it at launch? And we know that actually they didn't spend all 4 years making this game. They originally started out making Injustice 3 in Unreal Engine 5, and they realized that jumping to Unreal 5 was going to take like 7 years, and that's too long without a game. So WB had them make this, which means they're also still working on that Unreal 5 Injustice game in the background, which means on some level, this is kind of shovelware. This is like AAA shovelware. And that's
the phrase that like really popped up in my mind after my first 2 days of the game was like Mortal Kombat 11.5.
Yeah.
For characters who weren't there the first time.
And the thing is, that's frustrating because there are things that 11 did that just aren't here. Like in 11, you could go into your character customization menu and see all the things you haven't unlocked yet, and it would list how to unlock them. Not in this one. It's just the only reason we know what's in the game and what is available is thanks to data miners. Without them, we'd be pretty screwed. And I would still be grinding in the hope that I can get like an MK Mythologies mask for Sub-Zero, rather than knowing, oh, that's not in the game and I don't have to work for something I'm not going to get.
Well, this has been cheery.
Yeah,
Unfortunate.
I didn't want to be that negative, but it's just that's kind of where I am.
No, it's not just you. A lot of
It
people are
feels
noticing that this
unfinished,
game
and I've
is.
run
Yeah.
out of replay value.
Well, yeah, I think the thing is, though, I don't know if I've encountered a single person who wouldn't agree with that. I've not met the person on Twitter who's like,
Well,
man, this game feels finished.
here's the other thing, though, is obviously there's going to be a lot of people who, for them, the replay value is going online and playing with other people. And so my experience where I've run out of stuff to do is not their experience. I totally understand that. That's just not the kind of player I am. I like single player content. I like having stuff to unlock that's worth unlocking. I like mini games, and you know, if I wanted it to be more like the MK9 Challenge Tower, and Invasions is just not that. And the aesthetics, like, I don't want to say that the whole game is ugly. I love the way the stages look. Okay, all of the stages are fucking sick, and I want to say one other really nice thing. The music in this game is generally pretty fucking good. I'm really happy with the music. I'm happy with the stages. The gameplay is, like I said, an improvement over 11. It's just character designs and the bare bonesness. I don't know. There's sort of nothing left for me to do until after they put a bunch more stuff in the game, and I'm afraid all that stuff is going to cost money, and I don't know if I have the motivation to pay for it. Because fortunately, because I have the premium edition, I was able to get that Scorpion Deadly Alliance skin with dragon crystals instead of paying for it. If I had to pay for it, I'd be pretty fucking mad that they put skin on his goddamn skull. It looks ugly, and it makes me not want to use the skin.
Well, there's my next question.
There's only one retro skin in the entire game, and I don't want to use it because it's bad.
And I've seen people point out the fact that, obviously the Scorpion cameo skull is right there.
Yeah.
I've heard excuses made for it, like, there has to be flesh for the fatalities and stuff.
What fatality rips your flesh off your skull? What fatality in the entire game could have not been done to a bear skull?
It's not that bad if I look at it from a distance and squint. The actual outfit itself is really nice. I'll give it that.
No, from a distance, if you squint, sure. But I shouldn't have to cope like that.
Okay. Now, to go back to what you just said a moment ago, because I do want to bring things up a little bit. You mentioned the visuals and the music, and that is where I think this game really shines apart from the gameplay. Like, the stages are a visual treat to behold. And some of my favorite ones are like the pyramid, the multiple levels of it, Shang's lab, Corrupted Forest at night. Those are really, really big ones. The treasure chamber. There is a lot about this game that kind of echoes old school MK-esque designs. Not all the way, but like I can kind of feel it. But the music is another thing. You gave me a list the other day, actually.
Yeah, I found
of all the composers.
I got it from somewhere on Twitter. A list of who composed what tracks for what stages.
Yeah.
Which ones were Dan Ford in, and so on.
Yeah, Dan did 2 in this one. He did Treasure Chamber and he did Tea House Day. So I went and I listened to those 2 right away. And I was really pleased as I just sat. Actually, this is the first thing that I did even before. Actually, no, not even. Before I even got my TV back, like the day afterwards, I was so desperate to actually just sit down and like listen to all the music, and being able to poke around and like gameplay a little bit. That I went up, I brought my PS5 upstairs, hooked it up to the upstairs TV, turned like all the sound effects down, and just listened to the music while I just donked around and like practice and stuff. And I gotta say, man, like this is probably the best soundtrack that we've had in the game since Armageddon or 9. Easy. Yeah. Really easy.
Particularly like so Dan didn't get the credit for it because it's a new mix, but the Living Forest does play a version of the MK2 Living Forest, and that's a really good one. I also really like the synthwave track for the Cage's Mansion stage. That's one I'm a big fan of.
I rather liked the Treasure Chamber track by Danik. It's got some like mild mythology score elements to it, like the keys he uses, the kind of slow rising swell. There's good stuff. Like, if people from NRS and WB are listening, soundtrack release, please. And I'm not talking like MK11 soundtrack release where it's like the entire cinematic like movie story mode score and then like 4 like stage tracks. I mean, just give us all the stage tracks. Please God. That is good stuff. That's really good stuff. And I'm going to be listening to some rips wherever I can find them until I get something official. It's so nice.
I can see it going on Spotify. I can see that being a thing.
Yeah.
Spotify, vinyl, compact disc for us old geezers who still like know how to use those things. Absolutely. I am 100% begging for an official soundtrack release on my knees here.
I'm laughing because I know you know how to use Spotify, but just picturing you trying to use that Spotify and failing is funny. I know that wouldn't happen, but it's just the image is funny to me.
Oh, I don't use Spotify on general principle because it fucks over artists.
And other things. Probably steals your data as well.
Probably steals my data. Look, I buy music on Bandcamp. I buy directly from artists. I pay to go see their shows. I buy merch. That's how I support the artists I love, and that's how everyone should.
Yeah. I just get your own MP3s. I don't need one of those player programs.
I also feel like using data on public transit. I only pay for so much data a month. I'm not just sit there using it on whatever Spotify Premium for $10 a fuck that. We're getting off track.
Yeah.
So yes, soundtrack release, please. I don't care what the format is. I need it in my veins. That's where I am with this. I think that the gameplay is easily going to go down as the best fighting game in the series since 9. Like, leaps and bounds over 11, a massive improvement over 10. Will it be better than 9? I don't know, because 9 is a really, really high hurdle to jump. But those are the things I'm like...
What's up?
No, sorry, go on.
Depends on the metric, too. What really holds 9 back is... the player one advantage in 9 will never be fixed, unlike MK12. So that's a big difference right there.
It's really funny how this is... It's really funny how this stuff's been going back to the arcade days, man. The advantages for different it's nuts. Like they just can't seem to shake it.
Well, a lot of the code that's in the modern games has been there since like MK3 or 4.
That would explain a great deal.
Yeah. There's a lot of, even to this day, there's some things that are just copy pasted over from game to game.
But I don't want to seem too much of a downer on this. Like, as far as I'm concerned, as a core fighting game, like, if you showed me this on an arcade machine, if this game were an arcade machine, and I went in just playing Mortal Kombat as a fighting game in like 1 or 2 player mode in a theoretical arcade that existed today, I'd be a very happy camper if that was all it was, and if that was all I expected from it. As a fighting game, I'm prepared to give this like an 8.0 out of 10. And that's good. That's really good. Street Fighter V didn't get that from me. MK11 didn't get that from me.
It's just the beginning, too. I mean,
it is just the beginning.
I think more so than any of the games, like more than MKX, more than MK11, I really hope they stick with this for, let's say, it's got to be at least 2 years, but I hope they stick with it for at least 3 years. Go like twice what they've supported previous games, because I think, I mean, like you said earlier, it's obviously an unfinished game. I don't think there's any debate about that. The amount of content here is, I mean, we still got the robust story mode, which is fantastic from just like what it has there. Maybe not from like a story quality, you know, that's all, you know, a subjective kind of thing that we can analyze at some point. But like from the cutscenes and just how much time, you know, it goes on and so forth, like the quality of that, like the cutscenes and whatnot, that's a lot. But then, like Razor was talking about, the invasions mode was advertised as something that like we thought we were just seeing a teaser of it, but in reality we kind of already saw it. Like in the trailer, you pretty much saw what invasions mode was. You walk around a map and you do one of like 5 different variations of a challenge. So that feels incredibly unfinished. And I have to imagine that we'll see expansion upon that, because I would hope that they're going to add in more types of mini games and variety, like the MK9 Challenge Tower. And then when it comes to like skins and stuff, hopefully there's a lot more of that added. But as has been like kind of the topic that was brought up with all of that, I hope it's not stuff that you just have to pay for. Now, the invasion stuff I assume is just
Yeah.
free updates. The invasion
Yeah.
stuff I fully expect to be free. But my concern is I hope that the invasion future stuff isn't just the remaining stuff from like story mode. I hope that you actually, because my fear is like, oh, all those other dark skins we see in story mode. I won't go into too many spoilers, but I mean, it's been a minute, so hopefully that doesn't spoil anything for anybody. But without elaborating, I hope all those other like versions we see aren't just what is going to be in store for the next year for invasions. I hope like you actually completing invasions and grinding that stuff should have a lot more merits and reward to it than just those. And then leaving all the cool stuff in the shop for you to have to pay for. I've put out like a video, like an hour long, with 95% of that being talking about the shop and my concern about dragon crystals. And I feel like the community in itself is not gathering together, uniting on this. I feel like a lot of people are excusing this, and they're not understanding the bigger picture here, because they've already confirmed weekly there's going to be new stuff in the store. It's not getting updated daily like we thought with the update, that the timer, which was wrong. They said they're going to change that. It's going to be weekly. And so far, in the 2 weeks that we've had of content put in there, you get one thing that you can earn in the shrine, like the Johnny Cage and the Sindel stuff from last time, for the most part, outside of their gear piece. And then the other 2 items have all been, and as long as all the like gear items and then the 2 other bundles have been paid for, and there's only so many dragon crystals to get through grinding this game, even if you're going to throw that. So I think that's one huge improvement. If their plan is, let's just microtransaction the hell out of this game, it's not even microtransaction, it's macro transaction at this point, if you're talking about $10. If that's their plan, ultimately, is like $40 worth of macro transactions per week, then you need to be putting an update into this game for dragon crystals to be gotten at a regular rate just through playing, and it needs to be reasonable. Like, so, I mean, that's a whole nother rant. Like I said, go watch the video. I talk about it for a fucking hour, but I don't like the idea that Deadly Alliance Scorpion, inspired by Deadly Alliance Scorpion, whatever you want to call it, is put out there so early. And most people think that's the coolest fucking outfit currently in the game, outside of maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme, Johnny Cage, which is also really cool. But that was like, you had to buy the premium edition for that. So yeah, that's kind of my concern too, is I agree with a lot of your guys' analysis, and ultimately I love the gameplay, because I haven't chimed in yet, but I love the gameplay. I think it's fantastic. I agree with Shad, if not even one step further, in that like I absolutely think this is the best gameplay since 9, and I think it has great potential if they stick with this game. This is kind of bringing it back around to my initial point, is if they stick with this game for 3+ years, this could be the best Mortal Kombat game in a long ass time, if not the best Mortal Kombat game of all time, outside of like nostalgia and, you know, the just what appealed to us, you know, in the past. Like, not obviously we can argue design directions of the characters and shit like that, and story quality and like all of that is absolutely understandable. That's, people can argue that. I'm just talking about as a package, this could be fucking phenomenal and could be the most fun and packed and awesome. You just have to support it. You just have to support it.
I was raised on Special Forces, and I'll die on Special Forces. This game ain't shit.
Special Forces, I win. I don't have to buy every Mortal Kombat game.
I own a copy.
Right.
So,
right.
The thing is, the thing that really, really concerns me about when you talk about hoping that they support it for much longer than the previous games and for several years, is that if they do so using the current pricing system,
yeah,
it's not gonna make it that long. It's gonna kill the
No.
game the way it has killed other games as a service, like
That is
Crystal Dynamics Avengers or fucking Gotham Knights.
Yeah, there's been several.
if I didn't say it when MK11 was out, I'm pretty sure that I did, but here it is again for the record. As you said earlier, Razor, I was really happy with all this stuff, despite all the digging I had to do, in order to build things like UMK3 Johnny and MK11. And the thought that kept going through my mind was, I feel like the day might come one day or another where they go, gee golly, there sure is a lot of interest for retro skins and whatnot. Let's see how much they're willing to pay for them. And I was really grateful MK11 was not that game, but that game might be here, and I'm very concerned.
Yeah, Halo Infinite. Cyborg knows about this. We both love Halo. The base game, I thought the campaign was really great, but then the way they supported it and what it cost to buy like cosmetics in multiplayer and the lack of additional story DLC. Game's dead now. Game's dead now. They were hoping that thing would run for 10 years. Already dead.
It's not dead in the sense that they've stopped supporting it and putting out content for it, but it's dead in the sense that a lot of fans already gave up on it.
Yeah.
Just for clarity. But yeah, you're not wrong in the sense that that is a prime example of a game that I mean, it's very similar to, I'm sure, how some feel about this game, and that, like, I was looking so forward to Halo Infinite because Halo 4 was a disappointment. Halo 5 was an even bigger disappointment. They still had good qualities, don't get me wrong. They were still fun to play in certain here and there, but they were 3 for 3 were Halo Infinite was supposed to be their make-do game for a lot of fans, and to have it release, and to their credit, I loved Halo Infinite's gameplay. It's a lot like this game.
Yeah, it's
like
I know a lot of people their favorite multiplayer was Reach, but my favorite was 3, and Infinite is the best game since 3.
It's very much 3 inspired, and it feels a lot like this. This feels like an amazing gameplay, but it feels like it's lacking the support of quality of life, like little bips and bobs that you've already mentioned, but also just like the content. And what's happening is I feel like it's going that same Halo Infinite direction where it's as fun as it is, it's very bare bones, and you're not going to play story mode, one after another and then once you've completed invasions, you have 60 days or whatever it is until the next invasion. So right now they're very much in the same boat as Halo Infinite, and also with the shop, because Halo Infinite, like you were talking about, was to be fair to Halo Infinite though, outside of campaign, which I think costs like $30 or $60. I don't remember if it was a full price title for the campaign. The multiplayer side of things was free to play, so I was a little bit more lenient on the shop stuff up front. But as a fan base, everyone was not happy about that. And they did the same thing where they put a lot of the classic armors and the color changing and all the stuff that used to be in Halo games. They made something you had to, they priced you for individually, a la carte at a premium. So that is my concern with this is I hope that's not the future of this game. That's all I'm saying. If the current
rates hold out, where every single time they release one single skin that's worth having, it's $10, the game ain't gonna last. Nobody's gonna put up with that.
Like, I've already paid $150 Canadian for this game. Plus, I don't object to supporting it more in the future.
Sure.
But the idea of games as a service, that entire idea, it's a very dangerous line to tread. And just let me give you a metric. 6 months from now, you put out a pack of costumes, nothing but costumes. It's MK4 Quan Chi, it's MK9 Smoke, it's Deception Ermac, it's I don't know, MK1 Goro for a cameo, stuff like that. 6 skins for a bunch of characters and cameos. $20. 6 months from now. Okay. I'll support that. Now you tell me $10 a week for retros every week? Nah. No.
On top of other stuff.
On top of other stuff. I straight up tell you right now, I will see you on the complete edition of the game in 5 years' time. I'm not doing that. I'm not rich. You can't squeeze me like that.
And to
much
be
as
fair,
I wish I could, if I was rich and dumb, maybe I would, but I'm neither of those things.
And to be fair, and I had to have this realization with myself when I was really frustrated and irritated by the realization of how this shop is going to go. You can still enjoy the game. You can still enjoy playing the game with what you have currently. But I fully support the idea of not buying into that because, and it's not even from not wanting to support the game either. I'll pay additional money. I've paid for like Call of Duty. I'll put, you know, even though they put out like fucking bundles after bundles after bundles all the fucking time that are like 15, 20 bucks, 10 bucks, whatever. I usually only buy like maybe a couple things per year and that's it. Like get like a shredder outfit and I'm good. Like I don't need every little thing that comes up. Just give me one cool thing and I'll ride that for months basically. And my point is, I guess here is it's not that I'm unwilling to put more money into the game over time, especially if I'm getting a lot of time out of it. Like if I'm getting hundreds of hours out of a game, by all means, I will go well above and beyond that initial $70 price tag or whatever you want to call it, because it's worth it. You know, like that is actually a huge value. Games in general at $70, most of them, you know, if they're quality and they give you a good amount of replay value, are worth their $70, if not way more. It's astounding to me that games have remained this price for as long as they have. But I think it's a good thing that they have, but I think that's where some people forget, like people that are absolutely against microtransactions at all for full price titles. I understand your frustration, and I mentioned this on Discord and Twitter, but that's the only thing keeping games from rising up in costs from their initial, you know, what a full price game costs, is doing stuff like that. For a lot of games, not all games buy into it, but for a lot of companies, that's what they do because it allows them to still sell that game at a lower cost for the general audience. Not everybody needs those cosmetics. So the people that are struggling might still be able to afford that. They just won't be able to get any of the additional stuff on top of it, which you don't need, to be fair. So if me buying some more cosmetics on top of it allows that price to stay as it is for other people, I will willingly buy that. But what it comes down to for this, it is not an argument to not have those, to not have any microtransactions or anything like that. It's an argument of value. It's an argument of the $10 bundle for Scorpion skin is not worth that. It is not worth that value. The value is not there. It should be way cheaper than that. It should be $3. If not, then it needs to be Dragon Crystals you need to be able to earn that as daily quests, as weekly quests, as playing online, doing matches. You need to be earning that like hand over fist, because by playing the game, I am keeping your game alive and I am giving you your metrics, your numbers, showing that there's still a player base here. Me logging on allows, Temp's talked about this in the past. Me simply logging on to your game allows you to sell stuff to me. If you price people out or turn them off because of that, they're going to stop wanting to even look at the store or even turn your game on to begin with. So you need to keep that in mind, that it's a dance. It's a handshake between consumer and company, business, whatever. And that, it needs to be reasonable. The value needs to be reasonable. It's not about the fact that it's there, it's about the value. The value needs to come way, way down. And I hope this is not just one of those companies leading way high, knowing full well people are going to complain, then they come down 25%, so now it goes down to $7 or $8, whatever. And then they're like, well, we feel like we've won, so now we're happy. We'll eat the $7, $8 bundles because they listen to us. No, that's bullshit. It needs to come down to like $3, $2 for a skin bundle. Not to mention, a full price DLC character in this game is going to be $8. You can buy 6 of them for $40 in the combat pack, plus it comes with the cameos on top of it. Where in your mind do you possibly think nobody, there's not a single person that thinks, I don't even believe the people that are deciding on those costs, whatever suits wherever, because this is not NRS. This isn't even like the majority of WB. These are suits that mandate this sort of thing out of a ton of research, and they know exactly what they're doing. Like I said in my video, it's like going to the grocery store, the lighting, the music, where things are located. It is all calculated beyond your understanding. Anyways, and it's the same thing here. Like, if a DLC character is going to cost $8 and you're going to sell 6 of them for $40 plus the cameos, what sense does it make to have $10 for a single skin bundle? It doesn't make a lick of sense. It should be $2, $3 tops. That's it. Like, I don't know. We've ranted on this shit, but I'm done with my part.
Yeah, yeah. I think we pretty well covered that.
All right.
Yeah.
There's if I like talk about single player experience a little bit more and not the horrific gross monetization practices of virtually every gaming company under the sun, looking at you, Capcom, and your $20 Ninja Turtle skins or whatever the hell was going on there.
$20 turtle costumes, $20 turtle
What the
costumes.
fuck? Honestly. At least we're not at that point.
I'll give them a little more credit though. I only had to pay $2 for Classic Chun, so I'll give him points for that. That was a really big deal to me because, like, if I wanted to be a turtle, I would have been so pissed about the Ninja Turtle stuff.
If I wanted to be
but I don't want to be a turtle. I did want to play with Classic Cammy, and I paid $250 for that, and I did not have to play World Tour, which I'm told is World Tour. So yeah, that was a big bonus for me. That was such a plus. So I'll give a little points on that. I think the Ninja Turtle thing was borderline psychotic, and I don't know why they did it. It goes beyond bad. It's like, why would you do this? It's like, gosh, it's like adding a $25 Street Sharks costume into the game. Like, why would you do that? Why would you go that direction?
Well, no,
they did.
Gaming corporations, AAA gaming corporations.
They won't pay for Street Sharks.
What the fuck even is a Street Shark?
I would pay for Battletoads or Bucky O'Hare's.
$20 bundle.
Not for Street Sharks.
Pay me money.
But like,
The NetherKast Choir presents.
That was in tune. I like it. Good bass going. I don't know. Like for me, like okay, so I'm a Battletoads fan, I guess, but like I don't play like. I'm not playing Virtual Fighter thinking, man, I wish I could be a Battletoad in this game. Like
you can though. Oh, not Virtual Fighter, just MK1.
I play every single. I was gonna say I play every single video game hoping I can be a Battletoad, and I can count of one fighting game that's let me live that dream, Bucko.
I don't know.
Oh man, I hate fighting that character too.
Main. Rash is not my KI main.
What's it? I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's not good enough for me to like something. Is what I'm trying to say here. Like, I like Christopher Nolan's Inception. I don't want Inception skins in my fighting game. I don't care that much. I don't need it. That's how I feel about the Ninja Turtles thing in Street Fighter. It's kind of cool, but I wouldn't pay $3 for that, man. That's why I say it's psychotic. It's like I would not pay $250. Like I wouldn't pay $1 for that. I don't care. I don't care about fucking Ninja Turtles and Street Fighter. These two things don't mix for me at all.
Yes,
Mortal Kombat,
it needs to be fixed, and well, not even just fixed. It needs to be addressed, and I hope that they address it verbally or on Twitter or whatever. They need to acknowledge it, and then I doubt they'll change the price of Scorpion because people have already bought that. So I think the better answer, I think the win-win is just give us more Dragon Crystals by playing the game, and it needs to be like an uncapped amount, meaning right now it's a capped amount because there's only so many ways to get them, and then that's it. Once you have your amount, you're done. Like, if this is going to go on for years, then it needs to be uncapped, and you need to get it just for playing the game, and it needs to be reasonable. If I can earn 1,000 Dragon Crystals after, 5 hours of gameplay, 10 hours of gameplay, whatever the heck you want to throw on there, then I really have no problem at that point. Because me just playing the game, I'm having fun, I'm having a good time, then I'll be able to go get the skin. And then they win because then the people that are whales, as they call them, that really just want to buy everything up and they don't care because they just want to spend their money like crazy and they have a lot of it or they just use it recklessly, whatever. It's their prerogative. I don't care how people spend it. But then it's win-win. Then they can get the obscene money from the players, so that way it gets their budget higher and whatever, yada yada, more content for the game, keeps getting supported, whatever it is. But at the same time, people that just like want to play your game should be able to just keep getting that content without just shelling out money hand over fist every single week. So I think that's the win-win scenario. So out of price drop versus that, I think just make it so you get Dragon Crystals. It's easy. I feel like that's an easy fix. It's already implemented in the game. You don't have to argue with anybody about it. You don't have to like have a bunch of work meetings over it. Just put Dragon Crystals in for playing the game, like at a good rate. That's all I ask. But all right, next topic. What else we got?
Well, we're talking about stuff you can get and acquire. Let's talk about stuff you can get and acquire not with money, by unlocking it. Let's talk about this game's unlock system. its character progression, and its shrines.
I'm go ahead.
Hmm?
No, I would say like I'm good with
Alright.
the shrine mostly. Granted, I cleared it out fairly quickly. I feel like you could clear it out
Yeah.
fairly quickly, so that
Well, the thing is that you can't get everything that's currently in the game in the shrine. You can only get so many things per season.
yes. I mean, there's no I don't know that it's much of a secret, but like it's out there. Like content has been held back, and I don't think that's even unique to this game. I think any game that has like a seasonal system now holds back content because you're not going to start with your first season and then work your ass off to get to your second season by the deadline. They probably already have like the first 3 or 4 seasons already mapped out, already planned out, and possibly even the content mostly finished for it. So, no doubt in my mind, there's a lot of content being held back already, and that's why it's partially why this game feels why it's lacking in unlocks and content and so on, especially compared to MK11, but just in comparison to the amount of skins and stuff you'd get in Mortal Kombat games past, for the past couple of them at least. So yeah, it sucks that is the case. It's like here it feels like we got half the game up front and the other half is going to be delivered to us over the next half year that they have completed, and then they're already starting to build content towards beyond that 6 months. And that's that they're basically that would be my guess, is they're already working on beyond 6 months out. The first 6 months is probably already completed, which makes sense from their standpoint. It just really sucks for the consumer because no doubt about it, I mean, as fun as this game is, and it's going to live and die by just how fun it is. So hopefully they're able to start, bringing content fast enough, and good content, and at reasonable, how you get it and all that. But they better just hope people are willing to hang on and are patient, or that they come back, one or the other.
I wanted to bring this up because, like, on the one hand, I feel like what this game does with unlocks per character addresses some of the things that we were talking about last time.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it kind of also doesn't. It's like both a win and a lose in a way, because I've never liked shrines. I didn't like them in MK. I didn't like them in MKX. I did not like it in MK11, and I really can't stand it here. Like, if they have to be present, I think a common complaint that has been levied by many people is, dear God, let me put in like enough for like 10 rounds at once.
Mhm.
I don't want to sit there for a half an hour.
Yeah, it's just that the
$1,000,
animation takes too long.
$1,000,
It's so tedious.
Yeah, people have
Like,
I put that up on Twitter because Max, somebody retweeted a Max video clip from his stream where he's pretending like he's falling asleep in between in between unlocks from the shrine because of how long it takes, and just the stuff he was getting he was not interested in. So I retweeted that, or quote tweeted, or whatever the hell it's called, and said, yeah, it takes way too long. Some people are of the opinion, and they may be right. It makes sense that's just that's the background system doing its thing, where it's checking to see what you have and then determining what it's
absolutely.
unlocking and all that. So it's a mask to cover that. It's showing you something instead of just a little spinning thing in the middle. Which, if that's the case, then I'm just really curious, because it feels like I'm blown away that it would take that long to load. Like,
why can't we just get cosmetics the way Street Fighter and Tekken do it?
I like the unlock system in terms of playing as a character to unlock something. I think that we mentioned that during the 11 lifespan, that using that character should ideally lead to some sort of reward for that character. I think 35 levels is a little bit insane, and we could like reduce that by a little bit. But I'm not opposed. Like, I like the idea of, I play this much and I get like a costume or a brutality or a taunt or stuff like that.
right.
I do think that they're making us like grind for it a little bit much.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels very imbalanced.
It would feel better if, like, okay, so the current system is basically when you get to the halfway point, like level 15 to 18, you start getting your second fatality and your second costume.
Yeah.
If there were 4 costumes in the game and you like unlocked one at level 10 and one at 20 and one at 30 and one at 40, that would feel better.
Yeah. Because that's it is. It feels like a lot of work for, a decent amount of stuff, but the rewards are long in coming.
Well, there's one benefit to this. One plus side is like the best stuff is pretty front loaded, which is kind of like the anti what Razor was saying. But he's mentioning that there's very little reason to go beyond like level 18 for a character mastery to begin with, because after that it just feels like it's a lot of fluff at that point.
Yeah, you're just getting pallets.
You're getting pallets, you do get the 200 dragon crystals through the higher tiers, but like 18 is
character, there's occasionally a brutality past that point.
You get a couple of taunts, like the mid-round taunts or whatever, but like your first alternate costume, you get a 18, or your only alternate costume, I should say, you get a 18, and then you get all your brutalities. As far as I've seen, before that, if Razor's seen some that are after that, then
I might be thinking of like a taunt.
Yeah, because everyone I've seen, it's just you get all the brutalities and the extra fatality and all of that by 15, and then you get your alternate attire at 18. Beyond that, unless you want some extra palettes and just like the player card stuff and whatnot, like all that superficial stuff, then there's really no reason to go beyond that, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, it leaves little reason for all that extra stuff. Like why? I
haven't really seen much reason to level up cameos at all, because they only get like one brutality, and
they do get a second. They do get a second.
Okay.
At level 11, they get their second brutality.
Okay. But like, Shujinko doesn't have brutalities. There's no reason to level him up unless you want him in like white with a black vest.
Yeah, I got it pulled up right here. Let me check Cyrex. He's the only one
It's so strange.
He's the only one I've fully
well, I can understand because he copies other people's moves. Does anybody know if he can do other people's brutalities?
I don't know. I was curious about that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you
I
get.
will also add. Well, I'm sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna say. So here's how it works for the cameos at. First of all, why do they have easy fatalities as a part of this? That's just so silly to me, but maybe somebody appreciates those.
It pisses me off that when you hit the pause menu, it only shows the easy fatality input, and I have to go into the menu to actually see the fatality input.
Yeah, that
the
UI
whole point
needs to
of
be
the
adjusted.
short list is to give me what I'm looking for as fast as possible.
There's 2 cameo tiers that are easy fatality stuff. Tier 11's where you get your second brutality. Tier 12 and 13, you get card stuff, like card background and foreground stuff for that cameo. Then 15, you get one last palette and another combat card foreground, which is just like their face really close up. And I will say, since I just thought about it, but I really feel like this is such a minor thing, and I really don't give a shit, but it is worth mentioning. Even like the player card stuff feels very like just the minimum stuff. Like it's just like a close up of their chest. Like if Cyrax is like one small snippet of his chest, then one part is his face really close up. One is like his flap, his loincloth flap, whatever the hell you call that. Yeah, and it's just player
cards are dumb, and I've never liked that they exist, but these ones are less effort than in previous
than
games.
11
it's a step down from MKX for sure.
They feel that's just it. It's a lot of this game feels really thrown together.
Yeah,
like there's just almost everything outside of the core fighting feels like it needs refinement. There's good ideas here, but there needs to be tweaks.
Sonya's the only one that gets an alt costume of the cameos. We've also seen.
Complain actually. Jax has in the file, so they'll release it later, like Deadly Alliance Scorpion. Jax has a MK3 outfit.
Yeah,
but it's really just the arms. The pants are actually the MK2 pants, but in purple and black. They don't have the right stripes.
Right.
It's the same as we've seen they're going to release MK3 skins for Scorpion and Sub-Zero, but they're actually the MK2 skin with the vest having the 3 squares. Like the shin guards and the gauntlets and the mask are still MK2 style, and it's fucking wrong.
Yeah, I put up a tweet on that too. Just
hopefully that's just unfinished. We'll see.
I hope so.
Real quick, I want to add that one thing and I know the gameplay guys are really upset about this especially, but it really kind of has been a thorn in my side that I can't get any progression with my characters or cameos. in private matches, which is where
Yeah.
I spend 95% of my time.
Absolutely.
Like,
that needs to be a thing.
Yep.
I pushed like, I don't know, I'm somewhere around like 800 matches in this game, and I have nothing to show for it. I've unlocked almost nothing.
Yeah.
I played maybe 45 minutes of Invasions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been really frustrating.
Yeah, that's a huge one. That is absolutely like now that they got player one fixed, like that has to be one of the top of the line things, because if that's your only way to really unlock stuff outside of coins that you get from the shrine or for the shrine and stuff, like the mastery system is such a huge part of it. Not being able to up that by playing matches online, I don't even know if your player card goes up. So like,
well, the worst part about it is you can't unlock cameos. I still have not unlocked Motaro in the game. I mean, that's man.
And you've probably
It's
played
really
like
strange.
70 hours or something.
A lot, yeah. It's been a lot.
This really feels like, in some respects, a game where they're counting on the fighting game people to make the purchases, and they know that us single-player folk are not going to do that, so like they'll just leave us to grind. It's like it's a win-win situation. Player retention either way, profit.
I mean, if they
either
were
way.
betting on me, they messed up bad.
And there's also worth mentioning, because you brought up cameos and stuff, we're talking about that, but that is also another issue that I've brought up online, because I try to throw all of these towards the devs respectfully, but like they need to hear this kind of feedback, absolutely. And I feel like not enough of the people in the community are talking about it. Like Brusque will make a video, I'll make a video, but then like nobody else is really hammering down on this stuff, and I feel like that's a disservice.
I've seen it outside, like in more general gamer spaces, like the Castle Super Beast podcast. Definitely had a lot of criticism about it.
So if anybody's listening to this, anybody else with any sort of following online, or even if you're not, just still tweet at them. But like, I especially want to see the other like influencers out there, because that's what your job is to influence. It's not just influence your following with, reviews and following stuff. It's also to influence the other way, because NRS, values these opinions. So you're there to like amplify the voices of the community, is how I've always looked at it. That's what I've always hoped we do on this podcast, is amplify the voices that we hear in the community. There's things that I don't even think about that Temple mentioned that I'll put in tweets or reviews, and I'll throw that out their way and tag them in there, because I just feel like these are important. And what I was going to mention though is the fact that like the things you unlock and the cameos, if the servers go down, you don't even get to use them. Like if you're playing offline, you don't get to use any of the things, any of that stuff, the cameos and stuff.
Playing local, player 2 doesn't get to use anything.
Thank you for mentioning that too.
Really needs to be adjusted. Oh my god.
So that's so bad it's almost funny.
So
like, do you know what that feels like? That actually feels like a gigantic QA oversight, or like a bug that got brought up that nobody felt like addressing, that was labeled as low priority. I feel like it's a thing that they probably knew about. Someone had to have bugged it. I can't believe no one would have bugged it, but they just felt later on it's like not priority to fix for launch.
It feels like the Emperor has no clothes kind of problem. I think people knew and did not want to say it out loud.
I don't know. With all the things that that need tweaking, I would not be surprised at all if they knew and just it's for later. There's probably like 5 separate patches in the works right now.
Yeah, and to their credit, because I do think we need to mention this stuff, because I already know, I'm already seeing the comments coming, the negativity, the nitpicks, that like. These aren't nitpicks. A lot of these things are huge things that people really should care about. This isn't, we don't like a haircut. Yeah, that can be a nitpick. You can't use your stuff that you unlocked because the game has to update the servers or something. That is not a nitpick. That is a huge issue.
Where's the game going to be in 20 years when all the servers go down? That's what I want to know. Are you still going to be
doing this stuff?
So I do want to make that clarity, but what I wanted to say, the thing to their credit is so far they've had pretty good turnaround on fixing things. Now there's probably a big backlog there, so there's still stuff that's going to take a while, but like their turnaround on the player one advantage and stuff like that, and they've already put out like 2 or 3 patches since release. So that's great, and I hope we keep seeing that. Every week we need to start seeing a patch to fix these things. So
I do want to add that just as a prediction, I don't foresee the comments being like that. I think we're all on the same page. I honestly do.
Oh, I do. I think
our
a lot of
listeners
people.
and us.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the community are. Well, that's the thing is we're really just voicing the same complaints a lot of people are expressing. So there's that. But that's why I wanted to make that clarity because, like I said, there's just always going to be those people. So it won't be stopped. My comment won't mean anything. But still,
I just to reiterate, as a solo, like as a fighting game experience, if this was an arcade machine, not even counting invasions or any of the shrine shite. That's what I'm calling it, shite. My God. If this were just an arcade game, like, I'd be having a ton of fun, but for the fact that I can see everyone's goddamn feet. I think this is a very good fighting game.
Yeah.
An extremely good fighting game.
I still love the game. And I think it is a ton of fun. It's just clear it's going to be one of those games in progress. We're playing. We're playing early
talk
access.
About the gameplay too.
We're playing early.
It's not all great.
Yeah,
but it's a lot of great.
You still got your things.
But there are some things I wish they would address.
Well, now's the time.
Well, first of all, I do want to laugh about the shrine a little bit more because I was thinking that there was some network activity going on, and that's why the shrine animation goes on for like forever.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking, like, wouldn't it be funny if they were just that proud of the shrine animation? And, like, they programmed it, like, guys, we did it.
It's a cool animation. Yeah.
The dragon breathes fire. They've never seen that before.
The gold melts, Shad. It melts.
I like the animation. I put kudos out. I put kudos out from the first time I saw it. But it's like once you've seen it a couple times, much like anything, you're done with it. I mean, that's how it goes.
The animation is very pretty, and I just don't need to see it like 50 times in half an hour. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
my problems with the shrine, like I've said, run deep. Like I come from an era of the 3D crypts. Someone asked us to cover this, like the kind of evolution. Pardon me, I think I just inhaled dust. The kind of evolution of the unlock system, or de-evolution, if you want to look at it that way, from like the 3D crypt system up until now, because we've definitely seen kind of a death of the crypt this time through so far, unless they do it later. 11's crypt kind of bothered me in a lot of ways because of that. Like, the thing I liked the least about running around in the crypt in X and 11 is now a whole replacement for the crypt, and I can't tell you how much I dislike that. I am grateful for the fact that I have some measure of control over what I unlock by virtue of playing a fighter, even if it is a grind and needs to be tweaked.
Yeah.
But my God, how I hate sitting down and having to just RNG my way through whatever I unlock with no control over what I can get whatsoever. And I am a person who will sit there and go into the crypt and unlock every single piece of concept art. I will not stop until the entire coffin is opened.
Yeah.
Until all the coffins opened, I just like to be able to choose.
No half-open coffins with this guy.
Yeah, no. Robbing all the graves. You don't want to know why. I just wish there were categories of stuff, concept artwork, like costumes, outfits. I don't want to spend my time gambling useless currency. If I'm going to unlock concept art, I will, but let me do it on my own time.
Yeah.
And it's really weird talking about unlocks, because this game has kind of addressed a thing I had an issue with last time, but now kind of in an opposite, like it's opposite world, opposite day now.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I couldn't stand last time was that, like, if you weren't sitting in front of your console at like 5 p.m. on a Thursday within a 24-hour period expanse, if you miss Jax's arms, you're not getting them for 3 months.
Now that's gonna be the shop stuff.
Yeah, I'm afraid of that. I'm really afraid of that.
Who knows when Deadly Alliance Scorpion skin's coming back? I still kind of want it because of that possibility, but I'm still like in my mentality, I want to see this changed before I buy into this. Granted, I have the crystals, so I could just fucking do it. It doesn't do anything to the bottom line. It proves nothing at this point because, like, unless you're actually buying crystals with your money, it doesn't matter. In-game earned ones really don't prove anything. That's why I think it's going to be a couple weeks until people really realize what they're in for with this system. But regardless, I am worried about missing out on that skin because I still kind of want it. And it's like, I don't know when I'm going to see that again. Who knows?
Was he only up for 24 hours again? Was it just a day?
No, it's a week. They're doing it only.
It's a week?
They do it things by weeks.
You know what?
They said the 24-hour thing is wrong. It's going to be updated weekly, which is better than daily. Yeah.
That is very fair, and I commend them for that. That's an excellent call.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. If it was daily, oh god, that would be so much worse. But still.
So yeah, it's like kind of like we're on opposite day now. Now I have too much time to go and do stuff between seasons.
Yeah, it's good.
Like,
Well,
I'm halfway right now through like all the invasion stuff, and I didn't get a chance to play for a week. It's weird.
Yeah, a lot of people got done because they grinded the hell out of it. Like I've been done since like day 2 or 3 of Invasion, and now I'm kind of sitting here wondering how long it's going to take. Well, we know how long it's going to take, but that's that's the bittersweet thing though, because if you made it too short, then people would complain the other way. If you make it like, oh, each season is only 2 weeks, then if you go play other games and you really want to play other games, then you're going to feel like, well, now I have to get back to MK1, you know? So you don't want to make it too short. Could it be shorter than, 60 days right now? Could you do it half the time, 30 days? So 1 month essentially to complete that? I think that would probably be a little bit more reasonable. Honestly, I think ideally they should have started off shorter at the start and then made it longer as the game starts to die off a bit. Because people are going to want to move on to other things. I mean, that's just naturally how this goes typically. Like, I think of like Rocket League or Warzone, other games that I play with seasonal stuff. There are times where I just fall out and go do other things, and there's times I come back and want to do those things. But yeah, right now it does feel very long for the 60 days, and that's probably intentional though on their part, because like I said, they're starting off, even though they're probably ahead of themselves already. Content-wise for this game, they are starting off way under what I'm sure they would have liked to have given us and what we're used to. So having the longer time gives them more time to keep prepping and getting more shit done.
Yeah.
For the future. So bittersweet for sure.
Did you have more to say about the gameplay, Temp? You were leading to it.
Yeah, go ahead and
well, let's start out with the really good stuff, right? There is, as far as the cameo system goes, there are so many ways to approach this game. And I think, like I said earlier, if there's something you really don't like about MK12, there is a cameo that solves that problem. I thought Reptile was kind of boring. And then I teamed up with Cyrax. I realized that I could use Standing 3 as a poke, and I can convert that into a combo at no risk. And all I have to do is let Cyrax do his little helicopter dance, and I can essentially do whatever I want. So there's little things like that that make the game so great. It's like, man, jump-ins are really bad in this game. And then Striker's like, are they though? And then you use Striker grenades to jump in as much as you want. Now, granted, that's not completely risk-free. You have to time it. And even then, like, if the opponent's willing to trade, well, you got to hold that. But there's so many ways you can change the game. And I think when you look at MK11's meta, it's like, oh, I don't like this, this, and this. Well, there was no cameo or variation that fixed that. And if you don't like something about the character, there is something that will patch it up. Maybe it's mobility. Maybe it's combo structure. Or maybe you just feel really unsafe. Or maybe you want to mix up. You just feel like you can't open up the opponent, which is a problem with a lot of characters in this game, honestly. So that's a really big deal. So the problems I kind of encountered with this game are when I deviated out of Li Mei Sub-Zero. I love Li Mei Sub-Zero. Like, that pairing has ended up being so much fun. And that's really ideally how I like to play the game. But there's other problems. So if I play like 8 characters in this game, and sometimes if you find the solution to MK12 that makes the game fun for you, the minute you deviate out of that solution, you really start to feel the pain of what the meta is like. I went into this episode wanting to talk about the down 1 meta as little as possible, and I'm going to try to stick to that. But the essence of it is that some characters do have to rely on their high strings for their pressure and for their combo confirms. And right now, essentially, if you bridge the gap, if you win in neutral and you get in on your opponent, you still have to guess if you want to use your high strings or not. And I still think that's a huge problem. I have not heard a single defense to it. I've heard people say it's not that bad. I've heard people say there are answers, but that's not an explanation of why it's good. So that's a point off for the game. I think that really hurts a lot of characters. Now, again, there is a cameo that will fix that. If you want mid property pressure, or pressure with mid properties as opposed to high, or low. You can have that. But again, like once you deviate out of that, let's say you just want to play multiple characters, that becomes a big problem, in my opinion. Granted, not every character deals with this. Cage does not really have to deal with this. I'm told that Havoc does not really have to deal with this. It seems like Liu Kang definitely does not have to deal with this. But Sindel, okay, so let's talk about Sindel, right? I still contend, I've been saying this since the beta, and my opinion has not changed. I don't think inputs and buttons feel very good in this game. And you really feel that with certain characters. Like Sindel's combo, it's not that it's even that hard. There's just a lot going on. I had to do a normal and do a cancel that makes me airborne. And I have to cancel that EX special into flight cancel, and then I have to cancel the flight cancel into an air normal. I have to time that air normal into a ground combo. And then I use that ground combo as a launcher, and then I do one more final air chain combo into a cancel. Now, is it the hardest combo? I mean, considering how much you have to remember, yes, it's pretty hard, but there are so many things that can go wrong. The amount of things that can go wrong, you can mess with the air cancel. Maybe you got the air cancel right, but you press the air normal too early, and when you try to cue the ground combo, you get a standing kick, which ends your combo. There's so many things that can go really badly. And when the inputs are working against you, and I've tried every settings, all right? I know people in the comments are like, well, have you tried it? No, I've tried it. I promise you I've tried it. Please, I beg of you. I promise you I've tried it. So that's, I think, a big mark against the game. On top of all that, matches go on a really long time. I've had more timeouts in this game than I've had in all other Mortal Kombats combined. And even when there's not a timeout, matches usually go below the 35-second mark for me, on average at least. I was rewatching my sets, and that seems to be the case. This is going to come down to preference. For me, I really don't like that. I wish I got so much shit for this in the gameplay section, but so I'll make this quick. I wish chip damage was higher. I wish you could not let characters indefinitely get in over and over again without any consequence. It's like, it sucks to chase someone the entire round and you lose a timeout. That just gets exhausting. But to circle back, I really enjoy Lee May Sub-Zero. And if I stick within that, if I make the game what I want to be with my customized experience, which is all Kameos really is at the end of the day, the game is really good. I really enjoy it. Yeah, I just, man, I really don't like the down one meta, and I really don't like the fact that block strings don't have much of a consequence. I often feel like I'm just chasing people all day, and that makes the game super exhausting.
Now, is that something they can change by updating some moves and stuff? Because they've done that in the past, right? They've updated characters to change some data around or give them another move to help them out with some things like that. Like, is that complaint something that they could change, or is just the ship sailed already?
I don't think they will, because I'm the minority on chip damage. Most people do not agree with me on that. But here's the thing, though. And if you play those people who say that, which is almost everyone, I think there's maybe 2 exceptions out of like the 10 people I played. If you play the game with them and you watch how they play, they're very obviously cognizant of this. They're not playing an engagement game. They're not going in. They are playing a reactionary game, because that is honestly the optimal way to play MK12 if you're not using Baraka Cyrax. Now, if you can create a cameo situation that will let you rush in and create either insane mix-up situations or just insane chip damage. There is good chip damage that is cameo dependent or even special dependent, like Reiko's stars. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, why does that do so much chip damage? Well, what the hell? Like, it's crazy. I can do katanas. I
like it.
I sort of do too, if I'm being honest. I kind of like it as well. But if I do katanas, 2-4-1-2 string 3 times with striker cameo, I do not do as much damage as 2 blocked Reiko stars. What is up with that? That is insane to me. But so I'm the minority right now, and we'll see how people feel about this in like 6 months. But so for that, no, I don't think that will ever change. One thing, so just to give some praise to my gameplay brethren, one thing we are all in agreement on right now is that combo breakers are too available at the moment. And there's so much meter in the game that it feels like there's even more breakers in this game than there is in MK9. And I think everyone's on the same page on that. I think we all feel, yeah.
See, I disagree with that, because I like breakers, and I think the game should be more like Killer Instinct.
I'm with Razor here.
Here's the thing, like, if I
know this has been a thing for as long as this show has existed, is you get you really, really don't like it when your combo is interrupted because you worked hard to do all that damage. And my thing is, most people suck at fighting games and need a defense move.
My end
Yeah,
argument
yeah.
is this is not Marvel vs. Capcom, although it certainly is trying to be with a cameo system. I don't believe that every game should allow someone to be knocked up and around in the air for 80% damage. 40 to 50 to 65? Maybe. Not 80.
I think there's a solution that'll make
Not
all of
80.
us happy. I think there's a middle ground that's going to make you and Razor, as well as myself and some of the gameplay guys, very happy. And that is nerf Baraka Cyrax. And I feel like we're in a good middle zone where everyone can get what they want.
I
And
mean,
I think
they should do that anyway, but that's not going to solve my problem. My problem will only be solved if they replace the Mortal Kombat franchise with the Killer Instinct franchise.
okay, I can't help you with that, Razor.
Can I just say that I love that Cyrax is not even a fully playable character, and here he is. The same way he was during 9.
Oh,
I mean,
you know,
The same way
Cyrax-
he does, the same way he was during 3 Vanilla, fucking shit up for everyone.
While people
Ghost
in
of
the
Cyrax, yeah.
while people in the gameplay channel mention his name all the time, I'm just there smiling. I'm Jim Halpert smiling through the the blinds or whatever. That's me, because it's like, fuck it, I've been asking for this character, getting fucked over. He kills himself every time he shows up, and various other things that might change with this character. You know what? If the classic fucking version comes back and he's still ruling everything, good. I say good.
Cyrax is more relevant
I
than
wanna
like
see
Rain
it.
and General Khan. Like that's kind of where he's at. He's that important to the meta right now.
Good.
Oh my god, are they that important to the meta, those two?
Never change.
Yeah, Rain is just massively. Oh my gosh! Wow, Cyrax is just massively important to this game. It's like one reason why I just was very mixed, really just negative on the beta, was because it was the Frost meta. Everyone was using Frost, and that getting clipped by that low ice just has an effect, man. Like I could be at like a wedding or a funeral or a dentist appointment, and a small part of my mind is still worried about getting hit by low ice. It was that common.
Well, you're seeing a small portion of it, so yeah.
So-
It's going to be interesting as we get more cameos, how this game changes. Honestly, I think I'm more looking forward to the cameos than the full characters right now for this first batch, anyways.
Actually, while we're on that topic, and while we're talking about gameplay, because the concept of character continuity and how one character plays from game to game is very important to me. And I've specified before, I don't like having to relearn an entire character over from scratch. MK is always, donked with special moves here or there, but there's usually stuff that you expect to see to one degree or another. How do we feel about the characters in this game is what I want to know. Are we generally pleased, generally okay?
I am.
I think there's a lot of great designs gameplay wise. I think
Yeah.
Smoke is so fun in this game.
Like, I know
Okay.
there was a lot of frustration with Johnny when it was first revealed he didn't have the force balls, but like going up against D4's Johnny, even without the force balls, like he just looks so cool and he's so swaggy and fun, and he's a fun character to face, even though he's a pain in the ass. Fuck you, D4. But no, just kidding. I love you.
I don't.
But
I can
Like-
get, I don't need force balls. I just need the aesthetic of the green shadows.
yeah,
I think that
agree
this
with
is-
that.
And I
think
know
this
that
is
it's a
where-
story thing. This is a different universe where Liu Kang gave
I
Johnny
honestly-
different ancestors, probably so he wouldn't have the power to threaten him, because Johnny's powers could hurt gods.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even really know that it is a story thing. I think it's just more of an attempt to make Johnny into a straight rushdown character, and just wedge characters into pre-existing fighting game archetypes is more what I
Well,
think
for
it's
whatever
actually
reason
about.
they did it, I don't approve, and I can't play as Johnny because I
Uh,
care about the green shadows, and I know that that's a nitpick to a lot of people. That a lot of people don't care about that kind of detail. It matters to me.
Where I
No-
stand on it is where I stand on it is this: like, there are some aesthetic decisions I think have been made for gameplay reasons, like Johnny's force balls, Kung Lao not having a regular teleport. I can understand those because of the cameo system having workarounds and different things to
Yeah.
substitute for those. I understand that,
I think that's why. Yeah.
and I'm okay. I generally speaking, I'm okay. It's not ideal to me, but I understand if it is the way it is because of the cameo system. Before I go any further, I actually just remembered. When Tanya was first revealed, we had a lot of concerns because you know, she was doing a lot of different looking weird shit, and she had like these new staves, and we're like, that's a canon drill, but how much of herself actually is in there? And I actually want to go on record right now as saying that Tanya is such a fucking blast to play.
That's all I hear. That's all I hear. Anybody that's played
she's
Tanya
fucking fun
in the gameplay section, like Poot and so on and so forth, just talks her up as I gotta try her. Like
she's
I can't hear that from everybody and then not want to at least touch her.
like, this is the Tanya that I kind of wanted to get like back when MKX came out, and sorta did, but not all the way. Like, this is like a cracked out good modern version of her MK4 form. She's even got like a little boomerang special. That's like command move. That's fun. So
Yeah.
Tanya is amazing. I have a lot of fun with her. But the thing is, I bring this up because I will never touch Rain and Shao Kahn. Or General Shao, ever.
Rain
I'm just not gonna do it.
and General Shao.
Rain and General Shao.
Gotcha.
Never. I don't care if it's story or if it's camera related or what have you. Characters have some specials that they're known for. And if you're gonna turn Rain into a wizard, I don't see why you don't give him his like regular lightning drop and his water ball and ditch like the roundhouse kick. I feel like they gave him the roundhouse kick because it's his big signature move and they're afraid to let him go without it. It's just this weird, I can't understand the decisions that went into making Rain the way he was. And I mean that in story mode, which we'll get to another time. And in terms of gameplay, I just can't touch him. I don't know who this guy is. He's not Rain. I can't enjoy him. He's not fun to play as. He is a new character that has an old character's face and like part of his wardrobe attached to him. So I don't care. It's the same thing with General Shao. There's no reason he doesn't have a shoulder dash. None.
What were you saying, Tim?
Well, no, I'll add an extension to the Rain thing. It is super weird to me that the premier man bun character did not get his man bun back in the man bun game. That is so strange to me. And now I'll add and also just because I know there's a lot of disagreement on the chip damage, as in like I'm probably the only one who thinks this right now. Here's my middle ground solution to them. I would say there's a lot of strings in this game that are rapid input. So for Li Mei, it's going to be 4-3-1-2. For Katana, it's going to be her 2-4-1-2. With Smoke, it's going to be his 1-1-1-4-4 or something like that. So I would say maybe for those strings, the ones that don't have a stagger and the ones that usually start high, give me really good chip damage on those strings and maybe leave everything else the same. So if I want chip damage, well, I have to commit to it. Unless I'm Li Mei, because that string does not frame trap, I believe. I believe you can neutral duck the expire ball. So yeah, that would be my middle ground solution to them. Because that's really, I think, where me and sort of like the server really disagree. That's really where I'm the one-man army. Then I'd be curious what they say to that.
You know what the solution to too many breakers is? It's to introduce counter breakers.
I mean, that's what
just
Breakaway
make
was in a
Fulgore
way,
a
to
guest
be honest
character.
with you.
No,
Let's just make Fulgore a guest
was
character.
a
That's all
fucking
there is.
Injustice mechanic. It was just breakers, but airborne. Counter breakers is with the right timing, I stop your breaker and continue my combo. It makes it. It creates a counter to the counter, and it becomes a skill thing.
I mean, if it was hard enough, maybe I'd be open to that. I'm also at the point where I'd almost be okay with burst at this point. The Guilty Gear mechanic for stopping combos. I think I'm almost okay where I'm all right with one breaker every other round, just guaranteed.
I'm surprised you think there's too much breaking going on. I felt like from my matches so far against like D4 and stuff, breaking's happening maybe once or twice a round.
Like
maybe three times.
This is not what
match.
MK11 was, man. This is not MK11 at all.
I mean, if I keep saying it, I'm at the risk of turning it into a joke, and we're probably there already. But I really do think there's no reason to reinvent the wheel when Killer Instinct perfected the system.
I mean, there's a reason I don't play Killer Instinct, man. There's a reason I don't touch that game.
The only reason we don't play Killer Instinct is because it's like 9 years old.
I thought the reason you didn't play Killer Instinct anymore was that you didn't play it. Is that you played it for 6 years?
Well, I did. I played a ton of Killer. I also still like that game as well. I think I got a little tired of how broken that game is. I mean, every character, the power creep in that game just got really insane. And that was even with all the nerfs to full gore and the spinal and all that. Gargos is just a terror in that game. My throat's dying. But yeah, so as for Breaker, I think it really hurts in some matchups. Like I worked so hard on Sindel in this game. And
some would say too
it's
hard.
so hard to open people. Well, no, extremely hard, the hardest. And when you finally open someone up, because really the only way I can do the combo I want to do is off of a 2-4 confirm. And it is so hard because the opponent knows as long as they stand block the second hit of my string, there's no mix-up. So it's just, yeah, if you want that combo, it's got to be a punish or you got to get so lucky on a stagger. And when I finally get that, combo breaker. It's like, oh man, finally got the. It's like assuming I wasn't going to drop it to begin with, so that's really been frustrating. But yeah, I think I covered all the positive and the negative. No one knows what this game is yet. No one has really figured out what MK12 is going to be once we see it optimized. So
yeah,
we're talking about a game that may not exist in 6 months, just like the Frost meta in the beta does not exist anymore.
Hopefully, literally, it still exists. Like, I hope they don't just abandon this game.
It just disappears in the ether.
Yeah, it's just gone. The servers are shut down, man. It's gone.
Yeah.
As far as gameplay goes, like I said, all I ask for is to not like throw your baby out with the bathwater when you're redesigning characters, and don't let your babies grow up to be Rains or General Shaos in this game. Give Baraka his goddamn chop back, his regular one. What are you thinking? Are you insane? That's all I really got to say on that front.
I don't disagree, but when I play Baraka in this game, I can't stop thinking, why does this character still have a projectile with all of his shit? He still why does this character still have a zoning option? It makes no sense to me, but
because everyone in Mortal Kombat should have a projectile available to them at all times, and if you do disagree, I will track you down, snap your neck. This isn't Street Fighter. Go away.
Jesus.
But it is Baraka, and he is really hard to fight at the moment. He's got the dude has everything. Baraka Cyrax is just a terror.
He has so much range. Taking away his projectile isn't going to change a damn thing about that matchup.
You know what the best part about Baraka's projectile is? I can steal it with Shujinko, and I can outzone Baraka. That is my favorite thing about that damn projectile at the moment.
You know, if I remember right, the thing even did like little piddly shit damage out of all the projectiles in MK2 way back in the day, aside from reptiles. Like, it was crap because he was supposed to be a guy that you messed people up with going in.
I will say, I've always felt, so Baraka in this game, he doesn't make sparks with his blade anymore. He shoots his blade out like a porcupine quill. He launches the whole ass blade at you.
That is so weird.
It is very weird. I've always imagined that if I was going to, like, adjust Baraka, like, to sort of make the, I don't know, animation more sort of aesthetically realistic or whatever, I would make it so that when he makes the blade spark, the spray of sparks is like a short-range cone projectile instead of a full screen.
I was actually about to say that because this is like Melina's size in this game actually don't go full screen. They travel most of it, but they peter out before the end. Like, if that's the issue, then yeah, sure. If you've got to do that, then half screen makes some amount of sense. Yes.
Yeah, because I would definitely never want to lose. I would never want to lose the aesthetic of the blade spark, because that's the only move Baraka has ever had that isn't just swinging swords at you.
I don't disagree.
Some kind of visual interest, some kind of variety. That's one of the reasons that I like Johnny's Green Shadows, is because it's not just a human being doing martial arts.
Yeah, it's a shirtless man.
Combat character needs cool-looking shit.
I mean, there's an easy fix. Like for Baraka's blade spark, just add maybe 5 more frames of startup to the special, but make it plus on block. I'd be fine with that. Especially if it's a high.
I mean, there's gameplay things you can do. I've just always felt that the concept of the blade spark is he's grinding the two blades together to make a shower of sparks. So it should look more like a shower of sparks does in real life. Like when you're
blade spark shower.
You know, like when a blacksmith is grinding something on the wheel, you know?
You know, since we're on the topic, I really don't like Reptile's ass spit in this game.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
I'm just not a fan of Reptile in this game, man.
I have a problem.
I like how he plays, but like he gives me a seizure to look at. The morphs were a mistake.
I really have a problem with the fact that he barfs into his hands to make the force ball.
Bull Right Show would be proud.
Can't be an energy shield, Tamp. It can't be a
No,
ball of energy,
he should
Tamp.
just make gooey slime from his fingertips. He doesn't have. Not everything has to be spit.
Well, that's how we got here, Razor.
It was gooey slime in Ultimate MK3. Okay, you're not going to complain to me about something from 1996.
I'm just saying it's a slippery slope. That's all I'm saying. Literally.
Was that a? I'm guessing that was the thing.
Yeah,
The,
it was
the energy thing.
Well, yeah.
I don't remember that one. That's funny.
All those who think Reiko needs a spinning teleport back.
I
will say
I would love to spinning teleport. I would love.
That's two eyes. I'll take it.
The noob
I didn't say-
teleport is the one I want most.
I was
You
gonna
said I.
I was
take
gonna
it.
say I will say I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, I do think Reiko's gameplay in this game is really cool.
I honestly think
And his
Reiko
design.
feels unfinished and he's missing something. And that doesn't have to be bringing back MK4 moves, but it would help a lot.
I think I've heard people say that he's actually like shit tier, and I'm wondering if like a teleport wouldn't help with that a lot.
Yeah, I just think Reiko was the last character they built when they were developing the game, and he just feels unfinished.
I think tier-wise, I'd say he's pretty strong. He's actually one of the better zoners in the game. His command grab is unbelievably situational.
It's good.
But as like an armored range character, I mean, gosh, the ranges he can confirm that with 3-4 are just kind of, it's out there. So I think he's pretty strong, but he's not. I think the bigger problem is he's not very interesting. Like when you do 10% chip damage because you threw 3 projectiles, it's good. Is it interesting though? Like, I don't know. I like it, but I'm also me. I like heavy chip damage. I like the fact that like even if you're blocking, it doesn't matter because I'm going to do my thing. That's fun to me, but I don't think that's what people wanted out of Reiko. Oh, okay, I will say this: I wish his MK4 run was a lot more safe. That would have been much cooler. I hate the fact that it's so situational, but it is super cool though. I love it.
Yeah, and into the slide. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Like I said, I think his gameplay, playing against him, I should say, both his design and his gameplay makes me want to play him, which I don't know that you could give bigger praise to a character.
I think I will be playing him a lot more once he has a retro and I don't have to look at his feet. That's all I got to say about that. Because generally speaking, I kind of like him otherwise. Like, people are upset, understandably, because he has visible pupils, but this is a Reiko that never died. He doesn't have that NetherRealm shit. So it's understandable.
Yeah.
I get it. But that's veering on story stuff, and you've all probably noticed that we haven't talked about any story stuff.
Well, so when we do talk about story, we're going to very broad strokes it, because I don't know when, 6 months from now, a year from now, I don't know if it'll be before the Aftermath DLC comes out or after. You and I are going to we're going to have to do a commentary. We're going to have to do a story mode video where we watch the damn thing and do it in real time so that we can
have
do
to
scene
do
by
this,
scene.
don't we?
We could just do a quick broad stroke now. I mean, we're on the topic. Just do a...
Listen, okay, this is the thing about it. I have a lot of trouble bringing up the urge to so much as discuss MK1 story mode. Not because I necessarily think of it as bad or awful, which, don't get me wrong, a lot of it absolutely is, and there's a lot of stuff in there that I find a lot of fun too, actually, believe it or not. It's kind of like watching MK1 story mode is like dropping a lot of acid and watching MK11 story mode. Sometimes you just can't believe what you're seeing, and it's just all about the ride. It's all about the ride. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like
the game's been out long enough. We can do some spoilers.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not worried about spoilers. Just say
here's
heads
the
up.
thing, is
spoilers.
that everybody who I've seen have criticisms of story mode, they all say basically, I was enjoying it up until the last couple chapters, and that's when the multiverse stuff came in. Nobody likes the multiverse stuff. I had problems with it before that. I find Liu Kang's timeline incredibly boring. So Cyborg has a thing he likes to say on the Discord that comparison is the thief of joy, and that So I've sort of tried to keep that in mind, and I've approached Mortal Kombat 1 from the perspective of pretend that you're not a fan of the Mortal Kombat franchise and that this is your first game and that you
Right.
know nothing about the previous timelines going into this timeline fresh. And when I do that and I really think about it, I realize that it's not even necessarily bad for other people. It's just that there are so many fighting games that people tell me they have good buttons and they have good stories, like Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue? It
Blaze
doesn't have
Blue.
an E in the word blaze. It's always confusing. I presume it's Blaze
Guilty Gear Exard. Where does the
So-
A come from?
It is
Don't
Blaze
know.
Blue indeed.
Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, Tekken for the most part, King of Fighters. There are so many fighting games out there that other people think are good, and I just never got into them because they don't appeal to me personally. And I'm not saying they're bad, they just don't have the things that I look for in a story, the things that catch my interest. And this Mortal Kombat universe is that to me. And I think, like, I'm just not really interested in Liu Kang's world of turning all the bad guys good or depowering the major ones like Shao. It's just, it feels like an extreme overreaction to the complaints about the previous timeline, where everything in 9X and 11 revolved around turning a bunch of good guys bad. Now we're making the touchy-feely universe where everybody's good and nobody dies. And it's too much in the opposite direction. Like, I didn't like the one, I don't like the other either. The first Mortal Kombat timeline, the original Midway universe, was right down the middle of the right amount of the good guys win compared to the darkness and the stakes and how dangerous the bad guys were. And this is, it's just really bland, and it's not, I don't want to use the word dark because that's stereotypical enough, but
I wouldn't use the word dark at all. Not even a little.
I also, so I don't want to get into specifics, but I will give one single example of, I always say you can't build a house on a bad foundation. It won't stay up. The reason the MK9 timeline went so few games before it was rebooted again is because it was never built to last. This universe also feels not built to last. And one example I will give is there's a lot of things where they hint at a backstory, but they don't explain it, and it sounds like they don't have one in mind. And it's so Sindel and Jared in this universe are good guys. And we're just supposed to take it on faith that they're good people. We're shown that they're kind and compassionate and that they try to avoid conflict. And yet, this outworld that looks more like Edenia is referred to as an empire and has conquered other realms and merged them. If Sindel's not the one who did that, then who did? Why are there Shokan in this outworld? Why are there centaurs in this outworld? Why are there Oshtek and Nakhnadans forced? Like, why did these realms merge if the Mortal Kombat tournament doesn't exist or is just some peaceful diplomatic thing Liu Kang set up with Jared? Why is it called an empire? The word empire, the dictionary definition of an empire is a kingdom that has taken over other kingdom. It's a conglomeration of conquered land.
Now, do you think that could be because this was maybe Onaga in the distant past or something?
No, the endings make it pretty clear that Onaga's not really an important conqueror, that he's some kind of mindless monster that's been locked up in a cave and has to be tamed like an animal. So I really don't think it would make sense to say that Onaga was the one who created the current outworld, and then Jared and Sindel are just the most recent rulers of it. It doesn't seem like there is a plan to explain why things are the way they are. Like, we will never find out why Kuai Liang has fire powers if he's the brother of Bihan. Like, their dad wasn't a cryomancer from Ancient Outworld, and it doesn't run in their blood. They just learned wizard magic, like they went to fucking Hogwarts. And one guy chose to specialize in ice, and the other guy chose to specialize in fire. The same way Rain is no longer a son of Argus and just chooses to only do water, even though he could learn all the magics. There's nothing stopping him from picking up teleportation and necromancy and illusion. He just chose water. These things don't make sense. And that's, in a nutshell, one of the major things that really bothers me about this new timeline. I don't think it's going to make more sense in sequels. Like, we're holding off on explaining that. We'll do it in the future. I think it's just a mess.
I could go into this. I really could. I could I could sit there and I could ask for explanations about why X is Y is Z, but you know what? The way I feel about the story mode at the end of the day is just that I have no business talking about it. None. Because, like, not even because of its inherent good or bad qualities, but because, like, recently, you know, you and I on our, like, patron casts, we've gone through Deception, we've gone through Mythologies, and we're about to go through Armageddon. I did so recently in my spare time. Cyborg a couple of months ago, we had a blast playing all the original arcade games. There is just something about the world I grew up in, irrespective of what's going on now, what's happening, how shaky the foundation is or isn't that MK1 is now built on. I just came to the realization that I had my time. In terms of being immersed in Mortal Kombat's story, there is one universe and one universe alone that I care about, and it's the original. And I have spent a long time, 3 games, now almost 4, kind of hoping and wishing praying I would get some of that back, because Outworld to me was like this, you know, that's where I would use the word dark. It was dragons in the skies and gritty industrial music and, you know, trees that ate you. And I look at MK1 now, MK12. Sorry.
I
MK12.
did it. Yeah,
Almost did it.
It's gonna happen.
I'm 2 glasses of wine in, man. And Razor's right. That expansion is going to be called MK12. He's right. Like, the MK series in general, in a nutshell, has kind of been stuck in greatest hits mode ever since 9. And, you know, because they rebooted. Like, and this is not me, like, leveling criticism at it. It's just me saying this is what it is.
That's kind of
MK9 was 1 through 3. X was 4. Ironically, 11 was the closest we've got for this series telling its own modern, unique story tied to nothing else. And now we're basically doing Deadly Alliance.
Deception and Armageddon, all 3 in one.
Yeah, there's pieces of Deception and Armageddon in there too.
Yeah, like,
that's another thing that bothers me is when they use stuff from the 3D era games, they do it in a really empty member berries way.
I'm just saying, it is what it is, and like, I've kind of come to this realization that, you know, I was there for the Mortal Kombat that mattered to me. My thoughts on this one, completely aside, I just feel like this is a new MK universe for a whole new generation that maybe doesn't really care about, like, the intricacies of the plot that much. And I kind of feel like I have no business talking about it at all, because it's not my world. It's not supposed to be my world. The things that are for me in this game are the cameos and little tidbits like that, like we were talking about last time, cookies. You know, I have spent a long fucking time with this series, and I still love it. But, like, I'm reaching the point where I feel like I cannot talk about future games in the series, be it story or whatnot, because that's just it, man. I've had my time.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, and like, this series has been with me since 1995, and I am tired of trying to expect it to be something it is never going to be again. I am never going to recapture my youth. It is never going to make sense the way the older games made sense, so much as there were, you know, paragraphs here and there stitched together. I've accepted that.
Yeah. You're saying a lot of what I feel like I've preached for years, and that, like, for better or worse, I mean, definitely I completely understand and don't judge anybody that's wanting to hold on to something so that there's such a huge, I mean, we're all huge fans of the series, but we're all huge fans of different aspects of it. It means different things to each of us. So we've talked about that. But I mean, 30 years is a long fucking time. And I feel like it's we've outgrown it and it's outgrown us in a way that it's not trying to appeal to us anymore. Yeah, like you said, the cameos and other things, they definitely have callbacks to the classic stuff that we notice. But this is a Mortal Kombat for a completely different generation. They're not marketing towards people in their late 30s into their 40s anymore. They're marketing still towards the teenagers. They're marketing towards the early 20s. This is for completely, I mean, that doesn't mean it has to be, you know, bad writing or this or plot holes, and that's not an excuse for any of that. It's just more like it's never going to completely cater to the old crowd, because typically that's not what series do anyways. A lot of series, like, they try as a business at the end of the day, like I said, that's for better or worse. As a business, it's same with like wrestling and so on and so forth. They're marketing to that target demographic, and that is no longer us. There's still things there for us, but it's a balance. It's like, here's our piece of the pie. Here's the piece of the pie for the new people. Here's the piece of the pie for the younger people that are just getting into the series. Here's the piece of pie for the people that were there for 9 and X and 11 for their first game. You know, like, there's so many different aspects. Same with like the lore, the gameplay. Like, we all have to share this pie. Like, so that's kind of always been my argument, like, of why I personally just try and find those like little things that I care about, and also try and find the good things about the new stuff and focus on that and not focus on the shit that really does like feel like a disappointment. Is because, yeah, I just kind of reached that same feeling of like, this isn't, it's the same reason why they do the rap stuff in the like fucking the trailers. It's not to appeal to us, it's to appeal to kids.
Here's the thing, though, is that to me, MK1 feels a little bit like going to see Rise of Skywalker. And like,
yeah,
somebody asks me at the end, what did you like about the movie? And I stop and think, and it's like, I guess I liked that Lando was there for 5 seconds.
That's
not enough, man.
I think that's all that's expected of us.
And it feels really like cheap and manipulative to put him there and not use him for anything, just to be like, just to get people to clap because they saw the thing they remembered. I don't like that.
You know, this is
member berries.
This is the weird thing. Like, in a weird, perverse way, I am almost glad that MK1 is what it is, because it's like, yeah, there is no going home. You know, we are at a point where, in order to make things kind of look aesthetically the way that we remember them, or call back to those things, we have to set the peaceful forest on fire and make it look corrupted and dark. We have to have a leper colony outside of like normal society that happens to look like it's full of disease, like, I don't know, like the way the Wastelands used to. It's like, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about this like kind of identity crisis we've got going on.
Yeah.
It has always felt for a really long time that MK has wanted to be this whole different thing while maintaining the visual or thematic or hallmarks of what made it so fucking amazing for us throughout the first games up to Armageddon in the first place.
I'd say,
and if I were to just say one thing, it's just, I feel like it's, go do what you've got to do, man. Don't worry about me, because I had my time and I'm at peace with it.
I guess my question would be, why do they want so bad to make MK something completely different? Like, why is Dom so obsessed with creating his own IP and sticking the MK name on it?
I mean, I have a couple reasons I could guess. Is just, like I said, you know, bad writing, so on and so forth. We can, you know, there's no excuse for that. But like, in terms of just taking something, making it your own, that's just, if you were a creator, maybe not you specifically, but most people
I would live to get my hands on a character I've loved and do like the parts about it that I love.
Sure.
Like, if I was writing Green Lantern comics, most of the stories that I come up with would be continuations and references to stuff from the Jeff Johns run because those were my favorite Green Lantern comics.
Right.
I
But
don't-
my
I
my
don't
question
think-
would be how many people have written things over the years that didn't take that approach, that have taken the
Yeah,
approach we've
those are
seen
the
here,
kinds
that
of-
they want to make
Those
it
are
their
the kinds
own.
of writers who are just in it for the paycheck, and they're not there because they were fans or anything. They just
That's oversimplifying it. There's going to be some of those, sure, absolutely. But there's also going to be some that just like, hey man, I want my creative freedom. I've been hired to do this job. I'm going to make it my own thing. And if I'm really stepping too far out of bounds, somebody's going to slap my wrist and say, no, don't do that. Like
I
in
don't
my
think there
mind,
is
like the
anybody
writer.
there to slap the wrist.
Well, that's my
the
point.
problem.
That's my point is everybody is kind of in the same boat, generally speaking, of wanting to move in a different direction. If the general consensus at NetherRealm Studios was we want to be faithful to the old storyline and make it down to a T and study this like, and treat it like the Bible and really, down to every little nitty-gritty detail, make it faithful to them, that's what they would be doing, because Ed Boon or whoever really is in charge or whatever would be overseeing that and being like, or John Vogel or whatever would be like, no, you can't do that because it's this. The fact that that isn't happening says to me that generally speaking, they're all happy with doing this new thing. And to be fair, I've always looked at Mortal Kombat as always doing new things. Like, yeah, for a long time, they stayed fairly faithful to what Tobias wrote, when Vogel took over, and then Vogel kind of did his own thing. He made some changes too and did some things once Tobias was gone, but he stayed within a certain, degree of threshold of respecting what was there beforehand. And then when Vogel, it transferred from him to Brian Shard and Kittleson and Dom and so on and so forth, it went even further. Like my point here, I guess, is that Mortal Kombat has always changed with every entry for the most part. There are like Deadly Lines to Deception felt fairly similar, but like with every entry has felt like very different from the previous entry. From the original Mortal Kombat to Mortal Kombat 2, there was some changes. From Mortal Kombat 2 to Mortal Kombat 3, there was a good amount of like, whoa,
I
we're
don't
doing
feel-
robots
Well,
and shit
I
now.
wouldn't. I would say that there's change, and then there's thematic shift, and then
There's
Sure.
a difference. Yeah, there's a difference between making a sequel and making a different universe that feels like if your sequel is supposed to feel like it's set in the same world as the thing before it.
Sure.
But when you reboot and you're insistent on, going after new aesthetics and new themes and a completely like fresh and different thing, there's a question of whether or not this is the appropriate place to do that. And I've always like you're sort of coming at it of like, well, this is what the creators want to do. I don't believe that creating things is about what the creators want. I believe that it's about giving the audience what they want and expect.
I think that there should be a balance, ideally. I don't
Yeah.
think that you should be creating art for anyone ultimately at the end but yourself. And if they consider this art, then that's fine by me. Like, as I have had problems with Smashing Pumpkins records for like, Jesus, nearly 10 years now, plus. But if he's making the music that he wants to make, if Billy Corgan feels artistically fulfilled, good on him. If it's not for me, it's not for me. It sucks, but fuck it. I'll go back 30 years and find me some Romeo Void albums to enjoy. Like, I am just so tired of just trying to make this thing be what I wish it to be. But you know what? Lest we argue back and forth any further about the merits of artistic creativity or what we expect or deserve, one of those two things, as a paying audience. In the interest of positivity, I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I actually really did like from the story mode.
Sure, I got some too.
Number one, this is the first motherfucking MK game since Mortal Kombat 2 where Smoke lived or wasn't transformed into anything all the way through.
Hold on, there's an aftermath still.
No, it ended here, and then I chose him, and he saved the universe. That was out of nowhere, and I loved it, and that's how Mortal Kombat ended forever.
Yeah,
Amen.
Smoke was pretty good. Yeah.
Smoke
Not
was
only
good.
did he live, but he lived to hunt, and that was
He lived to hunt. He hunted
really
to live.
essential.
I mean, as a
And
boy, that's all he knew.
as a boy,
You know what I fucking realized today? What I fucking realized? Where there's smoke, there's fire. Mortal Kombat Annihilation, 1997. When he shows up, the song that's playing is Scooter, Fire. He was right.
I actually like that
He was
combos.
right.
That's like the one Kuala Yang as Scorpion the part that I can appreciate is that now they have like a duo thing there where there's smoke, there's fire. I like it, man.
And it's actually it's accurate. They're
It's
bros
cool.
now.
Yeah, it's a cool
But,
little
like,
combo.
honestly, people are upset because he may or may not be an NRA anymore. I don't care. Like, he's Smoke. He's a decent guy. He's trying his best. He snatched $5 out of the air, paid for a burger, survived. That's all I'm asking.
Beat up
He
an
did
old
well
lady
for himself in this game.
because he was
swung
asked to.
first. I don't give a shit. She swung first.
She was great in story. I'm gonna say that.
was
Like
great.
that was a great
Absolutely.
character. I would love her
She
as
was.
like a cameo or something.
Second thing I actually really liked. Believe it or not, no, you guys might have differences of opinion about this, but I enjoy Ermac Gerard.
Oh, I love it.
I really do. Ed alluded to this. He said that a person that was never going to be playable would be, and I'm like, are they going to do the thing? Because I didn't expect them to do the thing, but they did the thing. Now he looks fucking goofy. I think they still need to put a mask on it.
Yeah,
He's very smooth.
I think
He is
it's
so smooth. He's baby faced.
Some skin color would be nice.
I think it's
Yes.
clear that's why he didn't have the mask so far, is because they wanted to show off the face, like of Gerard, not the fucking mummy.
Sometimes, I mean, this does add context, I guess, to why he looks more like a desiccated corpse than ever before, because now he is
Yeah,
primarily identifiable as the desiccated corpse of a man. I still wish we could just get a deception costume and call it a day, but whatever. I'm sure there'll be options. And you know what I like the most of all, because of this revelation I've had recently that I'm okay with 1 through Armageddon being my Mortal Kombat.
yeah.
In a weird, perverse way, as little interest as I have in the concept of Mortal Kombat multiverse, in whatever alternate timeline bullshit versions of Johnny Cage, or future versions of Sonya, or Mecha Kano, or Mecha Barbara Streisand, I don't care what's coming down the pike. Like I said, there's only one thing that matters to me, and that's MK1 through Armageddon. And it'll always be.
Yeah.
If there are infinite multiverses, if there are infinite universes out there, if there's a multiverse, that means there is some universe out there where Liu Kang won Mortal Kombat Armageddon, or Taven won Mortal Kombat Armageddon, or Smoke won Armageddon and Planet Smoke is canon. Somewhere, somehow, someway, Reptile revived the Zaterrans with Chameleon, or her with him. Maybe Kintaro got 4 fucking magic swords.
If you think about it, every ending ever could be canon because of that.
It really is, if you want to apply that logic to it.
Yeah.
I think it's actually liberating in a weird, strange way.
That's definitely that's a silver lining view I can appreciate.
And you know what I'm gonna do? For the last couple of weeks, I have been in our own little Discord, writing out all the bios for Mortal Kombat Armageddon characters who never had them. Because that was always the thing that bothered me about that game. Sure, we had this new and interesting protagonist named Taven, but what the fuck was everyone that we'd cared for up to that point actually doing? Well, I get to decide, because everything is canon. There are infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
And I'm writing mine.
Razor versus canon.
Cheers.
Congrats to both of you.
It was cool. I'd kind of like to go
I
next.
mean-
I have a little bit to say on this, actually.
Go on.
Sure.
Love to hear it.
Well, Razor, did you have something to say first?
Well, I was just gonna say that it's I will always have my own universe that I'm writing and doing art for, commissioning art for, and doing videos on this channel for, to fall back on, and that certainly is a comfort. But it doesn't change the fact that somebody paid $100 and some for me to look at this game, and I didn't like it.
That's
shout out to
I
them
mean,
though. Much
Yeah,
credit
no,
to them.
I
you know what though? It's
very
nothing.
much Rosino, and I know that you probably don't regret the choice you made, because you wanted me to have an informed opinion for this show, and you enjoy listening to us on this show, and that means a lot to me. I just wish I could get you your money back.
Well, I wish you'd regret playing Blanca. That's unfortunate.
Actually, I'd also like to make a similar statement. Because in 1996, my father paid $100 for a copy of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super Nintendo. Games were always expensive, folks. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
But this one particular shop
or 80
ganked
bucks
us.
at once upon a time.
Yeah, but this one particular shop ganked him for like 15 to 20 or something. And he brought it home for me, and I opened it. It was my birthday or whatever, and I was so happy. But in the back of my mind, I remembered how MK3 SNES had played earlier on, and I'm like, well, let's see. Maybe they made it a little bit better. Oh no, they took Shiva out, but I can hold L and R during endurance to random select her, and she's just an empty mass of nothing in pixels, and oh no, the game's crashed. Thanks, Dad. I'm sorry, it was a terrible game, but I appreciate the love you put into buying it for me.
Yeah, see, when I was a kid, I owned MK1 and 2 on Super Nintendo, and I only ever rented the 3s.
For me, as a boy,
As a boy.
had them all one way or another over the years. Temp, you had stuff to say?
Yeah, no, so for the story, I pretty much everything everyone hated, I also hated. But there was a couple of things I loved, and I really liked the Johnny Cage Kenshi stuff.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah, you know what? And it's actually like looking at the MK cast as it is in MK1 is like a hodgepodge of like, I know who that guy is. That guy's who he's always been. This guy, I recognize him. It's cool that they gave him more time. Kenshi.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? You look like a guy I know, but you don't act like a guy I know. Are you a Moogle wearing the suit or the skin of a man I recognize? It's such a weird, strange thing. Like, as far, you can tell me that, like, Rain is wringing his hands over people he's murdered, but, like, the way I look at these characters is just always gonna be tied to the original timeline. Those are my guys. I liked my Tanya because she was a miserable, wretched witch. And if she's Melina's bestie / side thing now, cool. That's I feel like a lot of these characters are actually being written for like the Twitter or Tumblr generations, and that's cool. They're yours to do with as you see fit. I've got my guys, you've got yours.
Yeah. Eventually they'll battle.
Well, I mean, for me, it was a lot more simple than that. I just love bromance. I thought that was just a really cool relationship for Johnny and Kenshi. And I think I want to give props to Ocean Manx. I think he highlighted this beautifully. But once I hated Bihan at first. I really did not like his characterization. But once you kind of like settle down and really think about it, it just becomes the most hilarious part of the game. Like when Kuai Liang tells Smoke that we may not share blood, but we are brothers. Bihan has this look on his face like, oh my god, are you saying nerd shit again? I fucking swear.
Well, that's already after he like full on turned on him at that point. So yeah, he's like, fuck you guys.
I don't even care that you're not my brother or don't consider me as such. You're just such a pansy. Like, if Bihan went to Subway, he would like to speak to the manager. It would not matter what he was ordering. He wants to speak to he's a Karen.
I just love that scene where Bihan was like, look, Smoke, you'll never be one of us because you are a bitch. And I'm like, man, they really went all out with this character. So I've grown to love that. And Ocean Man really made a few points on that in the Discord that I thought really brought that home for me. There was a question. What's up?
No, it's actually funny, like thinking about Bihan, because I've been thinking actually about his character from mythologies to now. Mythologies to 9 to now. And you know, they nailed the aspect of him being a douche correctly. He's just a different douche than he was before.
Well, he's a complex douche before. He's a much more simpler douche now.
Yes, he's just more of an asshole.
He's like the high school bully, but the cartoon version from a show like Kim Possible or something, you know? Like how much more one-dimensional and simple of a high school bully can you be?
He's like a character from Step Brothers. He's like the rich like CEO brother who's always making fun of the main protagonist. That's kind of what I feel with Bihan.
It's like Derek.
But there was something in the story that never got resolved that really bothered the shit out of me, and I wish they could have explained it. I couldn't figure out if Ermac was many or just one. They never really elaborated on that. And if there was like a line of dialogue that could have clarified that, would have really helped me out.
You need to go into like the Sindel ending to actually get a little bit more out of that, because like they do specify that there are still like, you know, however many souls going on
He's
in
being
there.
ironic.
He's
He's
shit
Yeah, I'm
posting.
talking shit.
Ermac,
Okay,
Ermac
fair
says
enough.
the same line of dialogue 4 different times in story mode.
There is absolutely a lot of like relying on popular MK catchphrases. I think they
Oh.
say it has begun like twice.
Oh, they cannot stop quoting MK9. Like, almost every chapter has a line from MK9 in it somewhere.
Okay, I'll end on that. That's the one final really. This is not ironic. I actually really did like this. I know people cringe at the I clapped when I saw it moment, but there wasn't a line that I actually did make me real giddy, and that's when Liu Kang said a new deadly alliance. I'm like, oh, I like that. I hate that I like that, but I actually did really like that line.
It was a bit better than it was in MK9 where like Quan and Shang said it, and it was all fucking awkward and weird.
I'm not gonna front, dude. I thought it was great.
Well,
I loved
my favorite
it.
thing in the 9 version is that Shang looks at Quan Chi and scowls at him for saying it.
I don't know you.
Oh man, yeah, that little deadly alliance. Well, I know it's cheesy. Smokeman got angry when I told him this, but yeah, I don't know why, but I thought that worked for some stupid reason. I thought I don't know. I just the face he makes when he says it, which was like this very much of like, oh fuck me kind of face, really kind of delivered it for me. So I thought that was cool.
He reacts like Quan Chi just said a pun, you know? Like the internal groan.
I've seen a 3-panel like edit of the whole thing, and like there is just like one specific moment where he's just giving him this side eye of absolute disdain and disgust. What are
But
you
the
doing?
difference is,
Stop.
In MK12 though, it didn't have that. What are we, some kind of Suicide Squad vibe that I figured it would?
Like he's just like Liu Kang is just going, oh, this thing that happened in a previous timeline is happening again.
Yeah.
And I like that thing. I like that thing a lot. Okay, so real quick. Okay, I know I said this the final thing, but I love the tower ending when you defeat the Deadly Alliance. I think that animation is so sick.
It's probably top 3 for me. It is really good.
I like it a lot, but
it should be skippable. Yes.
The outfit Quan Chi is wearing hurts it a bit.
Yeah, he does kind of look like Megamind a little bit.
For me though, like the first time I saw it, I didn't see it coming at all. So like it's so awkward when like Li Mei is beating up like Shang Tsung and Sector's like, let's do this, Li Mei. It's just so weird.
It's awesome.
I love that video
The
Cyborg
Cyrex
managed to capture of when Cyrex explodes at the end.
Yes.
It'll just be a floating torso hitting on G.
It's anytime you finish the opponent, like as the last move with the bomb. Like if you do the bomb on Shang Tsung at the end, it's repeatable every time. It's great.
They were clever that there are no kicks thrown by the Kameo, so Motaro can do the same animation.
Yeah, he does look funny.
God.
He does look funny doing it. I had to try.
Man, there's a lot of shit that's wrong with this game that we've covered, and there's a lot of shit that's really right about this game as a fighting game. And I am still really fucking happy to see Motaro. They even gave him a thing or two to do in story mode.
Yeah.
No lines, but a thing or two to do.
I'll throw in some thoughts here. So for story for me, I recorded my playthrough, so it's all up there, so you can kind of see my reactions as I go. Plus, I do like little recap thoughts at the end of each part of it, I guess. I did it in, I think, 4 parts. But, I mean, I didn't dodge all spoilers leading into it, so the only thing I knew kind of was that the Deadly Alliance were going to be a thing, and that that it just gets batshit insane towards the end, so I kind of expected that, but not knowing all the twists and turns and just how, the journey overall, I kind of got out of it what I thought I'd get out of it, and that's the character moments. I didn't expect anything great out of it or anything wonderful. A lot of opinions were already thrown out there, even without spoilers, that it just didn't seem, a lot of people didn't care for it, but and then there was, I mean, to be fair, there's some people on Twitter, you get your like Angry Joe and other people that are more casual, very casual fans of Mortal Kombat that think it's amazing just because they marvel over the cinematics in general for a fighting game. But for me, like I really like the character moments. I like seeing Baraka have such a bigger role, and I really dig his character in this game. I also dug Reptile's kind of like little arc that he had and just having more focus. There was something silly. The silly moments where he's like, "Don't worry, guys. I can be stealthy. I can go invisible." And the very next thing you see is him not invisible and getting caught. Like, that's funny to me. Like, I like that shit.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
Lee May,
It
outside
doesn't
of
matter
losing,
what universe you're in, Reptile's an idiot. He's always gonna be an idiot. I'm sorry, guys. It's just the truth.
Lee May, I thought was handled amazingly. Like, honestly, I thought her character and redemption was really well done, and she had quite a emphasis in story mode. So I really liked her being in here. Same with Ashura, like having her there. Just the fact that I love that character. I feel like obviously she was the one I was looking forward to most. Her and Lee May. Like, I felt like they were handled so fucking well in the story and just in general. And their arcade endings are phenomenal. And quite honestly, I like most of the arcade endings in this game way more than I did 11 or X. I just like, I found myself, I didn't even finish all of them in 11 or X. I had to go online and just look them up at some point because I'm like, I don't want to keep playing through these.
11's arcade endings were as bad as Armageddon's in terms of being complete non sequiturs that have nothing to do with characters' personality.
I love that these are actually supposedly supposed to be canon according to NRS. So like,
apparently, yes, they all matter.
So without spoiling anything, because
it's weeks out now.
All of the story mode and all the arcade endings do continue on into the
after story. Yeah. And some of them are linked together, which has happened in the past as well. But yeah, I love it. Like, I love seeing Ashura continue her path of redemption, and like I said, spoilers, but like it's out there already. But seeing her become like go to Wuxi and actually train, and her the comic art, I want to like put that somewhere. I want that on my arcade stick or something, because like having her in like the pose, like the meditation pose, like fucking yes, this is the kind of shit I want from these characters. Like, I finally get something story wise from Ashura after fucking 17 plus years. Like, thank you. She's cool. Like, if we ever get around to ranking, like updating our ranking of all the Mortal Kombat characters, which I definitely want to do, but I think obviously we should wait till the dust settles on this entire game so we kind of have better judgment over it, and we'll do that in the future at some point. But like, she's a character that I would rank one level higher because I feel like she was handled so fucking well in this game. And there's some of those characters too. Another big shout out outside of Lee May, who I also thought had a really cool ending, is fucking Garrus, whatever, was handled amazingly in this game.
I agree. 100%.
He is a huge glow up. We gave him like a D, I think, in our character ranking. He would easily come up to C, if not a little bit higher.
I gave him an F, I think. I really did not like Garrus, and he completely like 180'd for me.
Yeah,
I will say he is much more likable. Like So I want to say two things. First is that I do agree that so we've been asking for a very long time for arcade endings to be all canon and all like continue from story mode instead of being what if this person beat the boss.
Right.
So it is nice to see that, even though I personally am not interested in any of these versions of the characters or where their endings take them, I appreciate that the choice was made to finally do all canon ending.
Right.
And the second thing is, even though I still don't like the idea of the hourglass and this guy who's connected to it, Gearus's personality was the most improved thing out of any of the characters that are different in this timeline.
Yeah.
On that note, I would actually like to stop and talk about another old elephant. And another old elephant is Sindel.
Yeah, I actually, real quick, it's part of that. Before you go with this, I actually re-listened to our what characters we want in the game when we did like, here's the 25 on the roster, here's the 15 cameos, here's sitting out, here's the boss or whatever, when we did that a few months back. And yeah, that was one of those episodes where we had that very intense Sindel discussion, and you were adamant she needs to sit out, and like, I don't even want, like, they're gonna fuck her up and so on and so forth. And my reasoning was always pleased, because if they do it right, it's gonna take that sour taste out of our mouths. So
what I
I'm curious.
One of two things.
I'm curious where you're at.
I said they were either gonna double down on what they did, or they were gonna do a 180 and backtrack on it. It was one or the other, no in between.
So where are you at on it?
what we got is kind of, I think, a grudging apology. And I specify grudging. They did do a thing that I was asking for, and that was, rather than have taken this opportunity, rather than in MK11 switch straight to evil because she looked evil, which again I can't specify how dumb that actually is if you listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Why not take the opportunity to show us what kind of a person good Sindel is when all we've ever had is deception, to show us her core personality when she's not being brainwashed by Shao Kahn.
Right.
And to their immense credit, they actually did it.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely thrilled about it. And I liked who she came across as in this game. I liked the amount of fucks she gave for like her realm, her kids, and the amount of and the little amount of shit that she had to tolerate for Shao Kahn.
Yeah, she wasn't an idiot either.
General Shao. No.
Like, even when you're like, oh, I even said that in while I was doing my playthrough or whatever, I'm like, oh, now after this twist was revealed, Sindel's gonna fall for it, and then she's gonna, be against Liu Kang, and it's like, no, she was actually pretty smart about it. Like,
I mean, there were people going like, all of this angry confrontation with Shao Kahn in the trailers, it's just sexual tension they're going to be making out because they've doubled down on it. And I'm like, I can't even think you're going to be wrong. But they didn't, and I'm so grateful for that. Now,
I do appreciate getting good Sindel.
We did.
I'm a little torn on it because on one hand, it does feel like an ode apology for the way she was in 11, and it is nice to see this characterization. On the other, I almost want to say that if Sindel had been dead in this timeline and Kitana was on the throne, then at least Kitana would have had something to do in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
she was there for Melina. It definitely was the Melina show.
It goes back to how I felt about Sindel in every game after MK3 in the old timeline, is that whenever she's around, she kind of steps on Kitana's toes just by existing.
I was okay with Kitana taking a back seat for once, so for me, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
For all the times that I've had Kitana up close and up front and center, I'm okay with Sindel doing it just this once because it's been a really long time since, and I'm good with it.
Well,
the Sindel I care about. But the other thing is, though,
if you have the character take a back seat, but at least their position in the universe would allow them to be interesting in a sequel, that's one thing. But this Kitana's fucked forever. Like, this timeline should have been that Melina was born instead of Kitana, and the Kitana in the game is Titan Kitana, who gets to hang out with Liu Kang. That's what we should have had, I think.
We'll see. Anyway, so Sindel's dead again.
Yep.
The only person in the entire story who dies. Which is why I say it feels kind of like a grudging apology. Like, yes, we're here. Yes, we're finally getting good Sindel the way that we asked for, nay, demanded. And not only do we make a giant spectacle of having her confront her evil twin from another horrible dimension, but she gets ganked by her in the process.
So when are we going to see Ermac change genders like Seth?
I don't think we are. I think that we're just going to forget about good Sindel, and that bad Sindel is going to become the norm again.
You think so? I think
probably from another universe.
If you're just going to drop that shit, the whole thing, if Ermac absorbed her and he can turn his face into Jared's face, then he should be able to turn to look like Sindel too.
I think it will. I think that'll happen. I mean, if they're both within Ermac, I mean, to me, I think they're going a different direction rather than just let's resurrect Sindel and repeat that storyline. I feel like you gotta go somewhere different. I don't know.
I want to call attention to the fact that we saw
had the balls to have the man-woman shapeshift character.
It's an interesting idea, but
the gauntlet is thrown down. That's all.
I think about that. I was like, who the fuck is Seth? Then I'm like, okay, now that makes sense.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think that we actually saw bad Sindel being killed off. I think we just saw her being knocked out. I don't think we're done with Dommy Mommy Sindel. I'm sorry, Razor.
I don't want that.
You know what? She's dead. If we're gonna bring back evil Sindel, we can bring back the original, pluck her out of Ermac, whatever, adhere to the MK3 storyline. I'm good now. We had a really, really good one-game run with good Sindel. They did it. We asked for it. Thank you. That's all I can ask.
I mean, you
It's also possible she just sits out. Yeah, we could just not get
Maybe.
Sindel for it. Like we had our make do where we made up for it, and she's just gonna take a back seat because this is games, or 3 out of the last 4 games that she's been base roster, or not base roster, but you know what I mean. She's prominent
The
role.
thing is, if we're gonna talk about like even beyond just what they can put into the expansion DLC, if we're gonna talk about like Mortal Kombat 13, I kind of feel like the story of this universe has been left off on like a real big happy ending, and like none of the villains are threatening. So maybe we just let it go, and MK13 is set in another Titans timeline. Like, we saw the Liu Kang universe, and it was, you know, warm and fuzzy, touchy-feely. Let's get a different flavor next time. What's Raiden's, Titan Raiden's universe look like? What's Titan Kitana's universe look like? Let's, you know, if we're gonna have a multiverse, and we're gonna make Elseworld stories out of these games, then let's see the next one.
Maybe.
I don't really want a sequel to MK12 is what I'm saying. I kind of feel like these characters have wrapped it up and had their happily ever after walk off into the sunset.
I mean, where we go from here is, like I've said, it's up to future generations. It's up to NRS, and I wish them the best of luck with it, because I've realized I've had my time, and I'm at peace. I'm not angry that MK12 isn't the universe that I love, because I had mine. I'm okay.
Yeah, you had a good run, actually. I mean, quite frankly, like a lot of games.
A lot of games. I had 7 fucking games to build this whole universe of darkness and swords and sorcery. And I had 4 games after that to try to just cope with the fact that you can't escape forever. You know?
Well, it sure would have been nice if those first 7 games had had a proper ending where people's stuff was wrapped up.
Write your own, dude. Just write your own.
Yeah, that's
and
what
it's
I
canon.
have to do.
It's canon. That's what I'm doing.
But yeah, other than that, like going back to my thoughts on story is just like, yeah, I just enjoyed the character moments more than anything. Seeing characters that this felt like the game for characters that we haven't really gotten a lot of focus, or they've always kind of been background players. Like I said, the Barakas, Reptiles, Ashra, Li Mei, Kenshi. Like this felt like their Reptile. If I think I already said that, but this it's just like
Reptiles.
This felt like their game, and you could even throw like Melina in there to a degree. Like it felt like the game for the characters that really haven't had the forefront of the focus as the special forces have, as Johnny Cage has, as Liu has. Like it felt different in that way, so that I appreciated it. Did it get wacky and insane and go the direction I wanted it to? Absolutely not. I was with everybody else and not wanting more time shenanigans. I made that very clear. And it definitely got really confusing the last few chapters to the point where I like had a hard time even understanding how the hell we're getting from point C to D and so on and so forth. But like the first 8 chapters or so, I really, really did enjoy the character moments. And Garrus, like I said, that was good too. That's it.
I guess it all just depends on like how you look at the characters, because for all the people who are like, you know, Reptile's finally getting respect and Reptile's gonna do this, Reptile's a good guy now, and I'm like, is it Reptile?
Yeah, it's a different guy.
That's the question for me. It's he's as much Reptile as like this game's Havoc is the Havoc that I grew up with.
Sure.
And that's not the shit on this, but I mean while we're here, that's not Dairu, man. That's not Dairu, and that's not Havoc. I don't know what that is. All it is it's on drugs.
I think we learned that
it's on so much drugs.
I think we learned that that's this universe's Havoc. That's not the classic Havoc, and that the classic Havoc, if anything, is what we see teased towards the end.
That's it. Like this universe's Havoc is Dairu, and
he's going to be the villain of the Titan Havoc. Is going to be the villain of the expansion.
Yeah.
He's closer to a familiar Havoc, and there will be lines of dialogue from Godlu about how he deliberately changed Havoc to be less like that guy.
Okay. Well, there you have it. So, but as far as like Reptile, it's one of those. we talked about this recently in the Discord, just kind of like what we see in a character, and Temp has his own version of what's important for a character to still be seen as that character. Razor, Shad, everybody has their own. For me, is it still Reptile? I still look at it as Reptile, so it's enough for me, but I wouldn't blame anybody or like think they're wrong if they feel that it's not Reptile. It's not their Reptile
That's
or
it.
whatever.
That's it. Like, that's all I'm saying is it's your Reptile. My Reptile was a voracious, beaten animal who had the worst fucking life. But I think that between you and me, he could take this guy in a fight.
I don't know. It's just like if you put a picture of this reptile next to a picture of Shaolin Monks reptile, it doesn't even feel like, well, this is like Earth 616 Peter Parker, and this is Earth 1913 or whatever Peter Parker. It feels like this is Peter Parker, and that's Miguel O'Hara. That's a different like person.
Yeah, it's that's
much.
Interesting.
That's why I don't really judge it, or like all the characters are just so far away from me now. From where I keep going back to Tanya. This is the loyal companion of Melina, as opposed to like the treacherous, self-serving witch that she used to be. These are just straight up not the same characters at all anymore, and
I think it
I guess
varies
it's
per
that
character,
kind of-
but yeah.
it does vary for Johnny Cage is still the same Johnny Cage we've had for like three fucking
Johnny
games
is
in
the
a row
least
now.
changed. Johnny is very much the same guy, and Liu Kang is obviously literally the same guy as in the previous game.
Yeah.
Except we just never know that he has this bad judgment. Wah, wah.
I think it also ranges based on whether you're going off looks, you're going off gameplay, you're going off story. Each one of these is factors.
It's a lot of
like,
it's a lot of things. Like if there's a fucking scale or a gamut or whatever, it's like Liu Kang feels the most like Liu Kang to me because he is Liu Kang. Smoke is kind of a halfway
even though
person.
Liu Kang is literally the same guy, his personality has changed because of the godhood. Like he feels more distant now, and it makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
It's you know that like it's the question of like what do you find constitutes a character? And for me, it's part gameplay, it is part character, which is like, sure, I guess I recognize this as Liu Kang. That's absolutely Johnny for the most part. That's Kenshi, definitely Kenshi, different special moves, but still Kenshi. Who the hell are you, and why did you steal Rain's like wizard outfit from his cosplay days? You know, it's a wide variety of pluses and minuses. You know.
Yep. On that note,
and like, are we actually?
I think we're
rolling it off,
wrapping
are we
up, and
done?
we'll give final thoughts and scores and stuff. But if you got something else, go for it.
I do want to say that like I know a lot of people out there have been specifically like asking for mine and Razor's full unadulterated review of story mode. Like people are expecting Razor to tear it to shreds, and people are expecting us to dissect it. And I'm sorry we couldn't do that tonight. And it's going to be, like Razor said, a little while until we do so, until the dust settles, until people are over the honeymoon period.
I think we need some distance from it just because Shad will have the energy to go through it if we wait a long time.
It's not about energy. It's about my place in the universe and not holding on to my youth anymore. I really and truly feel that I have no business taking this thing apart because it is simply not for me. It was never meant to be for me.
Well, I think
have
you can
the
still
things
be a
that I
movie
have.
critic, even if you're not like a fan of a movie franchise. You can still watch it objectively as an outsider.
God fucking damn it, Ken! You don't want to watch Transformers 7.
For what it's worth, I think it's very, very healthy, and I fully support and agree with you, Shad, to feel the way you feel, because I just think that's reality. I just think this is, once we've passed it by, it's passed us by, but there's still going to be little bits and bobs to love, and there's going to be a lot of things that just feels like completely different that I'm sure other people in the community, depending when you became a fan, absolutely still love or whatever.
If enough people ask me to weigh in, I probably will, but it's going to take a lot of like cajoling and poking and poo on my doorstep in the mail, and a lot of please cover this shit, because I really feel like for what you want to do, Razor, you and maybe Smokeman could do it. But I feel like my days talking about new story modes are pretty much done.
I should be paired up with someone who's going to be more forgiving. Smokeman hates it more than I do.
Jesus Christ.
You guys are
I'll
funny.
see how I feel in a few months.
I just want to give it like a nice wide berth and wait until like the hype has died down, and a lot of the people who are, you know, excited because it's still fresh and new, you know, have time to move on and look back on it objectively and do like an autopsy after it's over, rather than be right in the heat of the moment.
I mean, if we're gonna take that attitude about it, I would rather honestly wait until all the aftermath stuff is done.
I mean, we could very
Because
well wait that long.
man, yeah.
All right.
We'll see how we feel.
Let's say
We
you
have
don't have to
lots to
decide
do.
right now. All right.
Jesus
Anybody else have
Christ.
any major things to cover? Otherwise, I was thinking it's a good time to kind of just give final little piece of, or just where we're at with it, and then obviously we can compare that to the future if they improve anything or whatever as we see things play out more. But just here and now, what are we feeling? Temp, why don't you go first? What just overall feeling on the game? You've already covered all, just kind of like a quick 2-sentence feeling, and then just out of 10. It doesn't, none of that really matters, but just so you have it on record, I guess.
I mean, 2 sentences is tough, right? So I mean,
Well,
most of my stuff is on the gameplay.
I just throwing shit out there. You make it what you want it to be. It's just no more like 20-minute example. Like I feel like we did all that.
No, of course not. I think
we can never shut up.
We had a lot to say. There's a lot to
It's hard to explain. I'm very much in wait and see mode. But right now, I feel like I enjoy the game when I play Lee May Sub-Zero, and I get unbelievably frustrated when I deviate from that. And it's just unclear what kind of game we're going to be playing in 6 months. I feel like, how do I describe this? You know, I'll save that for another episode. Right now, though, I really feel like I'm in wait and see mode, and yeah, we're gonna find out what sticks and what doesn't. That's kind of where I'm at. But I would say ultimately I'm polarized between very good things and very frustrated things. That's kind of where I'm at for the gameplay.
Okay. Did you want to give it a rating out of 10? We don't have to. I don't know if that's important or not, but
I'm gonna hold off because I don't know. Because I could give it like a 15 out of 10, and then we find out that like General Shao Striker breaks the game. So we're just gonna see. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yep. I mean, like you said, we won't really know until a few months how this game really is shaking out, and that goes beyond just gameplay. I mean, like the shop and everything else we've talked about, how Invasions is going to change, and yada yada yada. So there's so many things in flux. So I don't blame you.
If a year from now we're still going to Combat League and we're seeing like 90% Baraka's Cyrax, then that's not good. That's a problem. But if a year from now, if the down one meta changes in a way, or you don't even need to really fix the down one meta, just make mids better. Just make mids more. Just give them more utility. Because this shitty down one meta was in MK11, but I was able to do like 10 frame mids for my confirms. So it wasn't. I didn't really care. It didn't bother me. It's like, oh, I'm doing forward one with Lao. So that's gone for most characters. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes, and it's also a democracy of the fans too. If they like the down one meta and I don't, then I just gotta hold that.
Also, just because I just thought about it, but one, it's good that Lee May, out of all the characters, you really at least like the character that you probably feel, you know, you've been most vocal about for years and years and years outside of, you know, Smoke. But so I'm glad at least if there's a character that you feel really good about and have a lot of fun with the game, it's Lee May and Sub-Zero, two of your favorite characters.
And it's funny about that too, because I actually kind of switched on Lee May. I used to think she was painfully simple. It's like, this character's fun, but she's just so boring. She's fun boring.
Sure.
Now I don't feel that way. There's a lot of cool shit you can do with her.
Yeah.
And I think her combo construction is some of the most interesting in the game.
Cool.
And I think she's one of the few characters who could actually like consistently stagger and mix you with highs, and you have to be deathly afraid of it because of the frame traps. And she's plus on her frame traps. So I got my plus frames. That was always my big problem with MKX, and even to almost a larger extent MK11 because of the gaps. By the way, there's so many fucking gaps in this game. But yeah, Lee May has really good pressure. I guess I forgot to mention this earlier. I do hate the disparity, but between down 1s across characters and down 4s across characters, I really did not like how stubby down 4s were in the beta, and I still feel that way. But like some characters like got away with fucking murder. Like Havoc's down 4, that thing should cost meter. What the fuck happened? So yeah, I would like everyone, if they block a down 1, I feel like every character should be able to respond with a down 1 unless they have some substantial advantage that needs to limit their up close offense. But Lee May is not in that category, so give her more range on her down 1, please. Just fix the down 1 down 4 disparity across the cast. That's another thing I would like to add. But overall, yeah, very good things, very frustrating things, all in one tight package.
And to follow up here, just because I feel like it's necessary, Lee May, overall, now that you've seen her ending, you've seen her in story mode, you've played her, seen her designs and everything, are you happy with what they've done with this?
I'm happy and I'm extremely grateful.
Good.
I'm happy that she's fun to play, and I'm happy that she's not a dragon robot. So, yes, 8 out of 10. I will happily give a score on Lee May, 8 out of 10. Oh, and her costume isn't super fucking stupid. That's also good.
Yeah.
I still wish she didn't look like a Skyrim character. I wish she was a little more interesting. I mean, man, I don't want to bring up costume because we'll be here for a while, but man, I wish she had a better alt. But what she has is not bad. It's very inoffensive, and it mostly fits her character. I could do without the cop stuff. I get fatigued on her being a cop, but that's fine. I will take that. That is very inoffensive. Super fun to play, though.
Cool.
Yeah, very happy with Lee May.
Razor?
I'm not going to give it a number just because I think it would be very unfair to base my opinion of it on the fact that the PC version barely fucking runs and needs a lot of patching.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I can't...
Yeah.
I think the PC version should at least get 2 points lower than a normal version just off of everything I've heard.
Yeah, right now, if I was to rate it based on my experience with all the crashing and the bugs, it would be a very low number. Embarrassingly low, make people angry at me low.
Yeah. Switch version
so I'm going to
low.
hold off on that. And in fact, so like I said, I've stopped playing it. I've run out of replay value stuff. I'm probably just going to let the game sit for several months and come back to it. And then see what, after they've updated a lot of things and there's more stuff to do, I'm going to... In the meantime, I might uninstall it solely because 100+ gigs is a big chunk of my hard drive I'd like to have back.
Yeah. How about if Invasion Season 2, if you hear a lot of good things or see a lot of good things when other people are playing that pique your interest, would that be enough, or do you think just in general?
Well, a season is what, 6 weeks?
I think it's like 30-something days remaining, yeah.
Okay, so we should have
about a month.
The next season fairly soon because the game's been out a few weeks.
Yeah, I would say, like I said, it's 60 days total. I think we probably got a little over a month, so sometime in November, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'll probably, depending on how it looks, then I'll reinstall it and have a look around. But I mean, this is the first time I've ever been in that situation because you don't have to uninstall console games to free up space that often.
Yeah, no, that's a big shame.
Really?
I mean,
I don't because I don't own a lot of games.
I do all the time. Like, it's like, hey, Temp, do you want to play King of Fighters 15? I'm like, fuck my life.
Okay, so like sometimes I get a new game and I'm like, oh, I haven't played Resident Evil in forever. I can uninstall that. I haven't played Arkham in years. I can uninstall that. But this is the first time I'll be uninstalling a game that I got recently.
Fair.
I have no idea how much hard drive space is on my PS5, but if it's enough for Silent Hill 2 and FF7 Part 2, I'm good. I plan on playing nothing else this year. Next year. Whatever the hell.
All right.
Is it my turn to give a score, or
you can? Yeah,
I forget.
I didn't know if Fraser had any more, but if not,
That's pretty much it. I covered it all with I'm out of replay value, and I don't see a reason to keep playing until they add more stuff.
Okay. Chad.
All right. So like I said, as a core fighting game, if this was an arcade cabinet, it's either a 7.5, an 8.0, and it has the potential and capacity to be a 9 to a 9.5. Maybe not a 10. 10 seems like perfection. 10 is like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Very few games can actually get there, you know?
Yeah.
But it has the potential to be a very, very good game, I think, with a lot of love, a lot of spit and elbow polish.
Yeah.
It is an excellent fighting game with an excellent soundtrack, an excellent soundtrack that I want released in some capacity, and it's got beautiful visuals. It's a great fighting game, and that's all it is.
And a great roster still.
And a great roster.
Yeah,
and that's all it is.
I'm still blown away that fucking playing like Lee May and Ashra.
But we are used to, as MK fans, having a little bit more.
Yeah.
The customization is bare bones, plus or minus, whatever you want to think about that since the MK11 days. There is no crypt to run around in. There is only invasions, and all of invasions is going from node to node and abusing uppercuts after you've stacked your strength to max. That's it. This game really feels like it was made by fighting game creator developers for fighting game players. And it's something that, to a degree, was also, I think, an issue with MK11. It's like they don't understand why people who'd be playing a fighting game would do it single player at all. And it needs a lot more than that. It needs a lot more than what it's got in order to be a worthwhile single player experience. It needs something. Something apart from invasions. I don't know what. Maybe another run around crypt, maybe something else. Something at least to the level that 11 had.
Yeah, it's like...
But it can't survive on what it's got now.
It's like a good cake, but with like just very minimal icing. Like just the smallest amount of icing on it. Like, yeah, this is great. I need a lot more of that icing on there. Give me more frosting, please.
It's excellent. It's excellent at what it does and what it tries to do. But it's got such a very narrow scope, you know?
Yeah.
I was thinking an ice cream cone with a very small scoop of ice cream inside.
That's about it.
The ice cream's great. Why did
It's a hilarious looking cone because you have that tiny bit of ice cream on this giant ass cone.
Is that it? Is that all the ice cream I'm getting?
You get two very small scoops, Cyborg.
It is literally buttered toast.
It's a lot of food.
There's peanut butter.
There's a lot of food examples. It's only food examples.
I'm hungry now. So yeah, as a fighting game, yeah, it's absolutely like an 8, something like that.
Yeah.
As a Mortal Kombat game, I can't give it a score because I expect so much more. It's always been so much more. And to an extent, like I've been alluding to, Mortal Kombat is a thing for me that I think honestly existed for me from the early 90s up to 2006 on top of a pyramid. And it's time for someone else to I think it's honestly time for the next Razor or Shad to get really drunk and tear the thing apart. Or praise it for whatever it is.
I can't imagine there existing someone for this timeline who can deep dive the way we do about the old timeline.
I'm sure that they'll emerge one day or another.
As a boy.
MK, you know what? MK is a million... Let me just finish by just saying MK has always been a million different things to a million different people. And it's just made for different people now. It's made for the hardcore fighting game community. It's made for the competitive scene, which has always been the case. As a matter of fact, while I'm here, there is a book I have been meaning to plug on this show for a long time now. If you have any interest about the period of the 90s, about the original Mortal Kombat games, you need to go and pick yourself up a book called Long Live Mortal Kombat by David L. Craddock.
Great.
It is an excellent resource for learning almost everything there is to learn about the creation of MK1 through 4.
I'll also say
it's an invaluable resource.
I listened to a good chunk of it on Audible, so there is an audio version of it. And if you, for some reason, don't have the money for it, or you don't want to throw down for it because just XYZ, don't let that stop you. There is, if you go to Audible, on your phone or whatever, on the app or anything, you can get a free trial and you get one free book that you get to keep, even if you cancel your free trial before you pay a cent. I didn't have to pay a cent. So, I mean, support the book if you can, absolutely. But they probably got a chunk from Audible anyways if it goes up on there. That's how like Netflix and all that shit works. But anyways, go to Audible, sign up for it as a free trial, cancel it immediately. You'll still get your free one free book. Use it on that. It's great. So yeah, absolutely. Good stuff.
All right. That's all I've got to say.
I'm
As
in
an MK game, it's for the next generation, and I wish you well with it.
I'm in a very similar boats. Just I think it's great. I do think it's a phenomenal the gameplay I really, really love the roster. I'm just still blown away by the roster. It feels surreal. I feel like that's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time for me to fully grasp that these characters are in this game. And I honestly, I don't even want to think about future MK games just because like this is so fresh and new that it just seems silly to just be like, oh, what's going to be on the next one? But like I've been saying for so fucking long, well, we've all been preaching it really. It's just like, but I've stressed so much, like these characters, if they come back, it'll refresh who they are in front of a whole new crowd and for the developers themselves. So no longer are they just the characters that got left behind. I feel like a Lee May, an Ashra, a Havoc, a Reiko, whatever. I don't think this is a one and done for them. I'm not saying they're all going to return in the next one or anything. That's pie in the sky. And I would hope that like the Hotaros and Kais of the world still manage to find their way into either this game or future games. But I do think that this is nothing but good for these 3D era characters got brought back, and I think hopefully that means they're going to be put in the rotation from this point forth, like a Kenshi or whatever. Maybe not as often, but still, I think this is a great showing for them, and maybe not Natara's voice, but the rest, whatever. But
yeah, one last note, people. Stop with the stunt voice casting unless the people you're hiring are spending more than 45 minutes in a goddamned booth. You should be embarrassed about this.
Her audio quality sounds different.
Yeah.
Like she recorded it from home.
Like from a cell phone or something, yeah. I noticed that right away. Like as soon as I heard her first line in story mode, I'm like, what? It doesn't even sound to match the rest of the characters. But
we came all this way without even talking about it, but my god, just stop. No more Dimitri Vegases, no more Ronda Rouseys, no more Megan Foxes.
It's like looking into a mirror.
Stop with the stunt casting.
In theory, you cast a celebrity because you think it will improve sales. But Megan Fox doesn't have like an install base of fans who's going to like go seek out things that she's in.
Yeah, I was about to say Ronda Rousey probably
going to cost them more money than it would make because now they're paying a Megan Fox-sized salary.
Ronda Rousey probably made a little bit more sense for doing something like that at that time, anyways.
Even by the time they got Ronda, she had already like lost all her popularity in the mainstream.
Warm blood.
But yeah, just in general, I'm just enamored by the roster. I still think it's probably my favorite roster of easily of the NRS games, but just maybe overall. And I don't count like all-in games. So just in general, like, man, I am enamored by it. I hope it gets even better once all DLC is said and done. And the gameplay is just phenomenal. I feel like they nailed the most core features, which to me is the gameplay, the roster, and then you could add in like stages and music on top of it, like we've talked about at length. It's just phenomenal. So I still really love the game. I just think, as everybody has said, and as we've talked about throughout this episode, it needs quality of life updates, dark mode for the moves list for temp, and just like the little things like just the little features that we had in previous games that are no longer here. We need those. We need more variety in invasion mode. Just make it more fun and rewarding, and yeah, just add more, and don't just make it all like a money cash grab. Make it reasonable, so on and so forth, like we talked about.
We just need something to make single player mode worth playing. Really investing our time in.
So that's
all I ask.
Yeah. So as is, I would say it's a great game that has the potential to be an amazing game. it's like it's a good to great game. Somewhere in there to me. Like I agree with like the 8.5. I think that's what I gave it during my lengthy review for the review copy anyways that I received. So like to me, I'd probably knock it down from, I think I said 8.5 at the time. I'd probably go down closer to 8s with a lot of the stuff that's come to light since then. But yeah, I think that could easily shoot up to like 9.5 and be regarded as one of the best Mortal Kombats of all time in contention, top 5, potentially top 3. It's going to be easily the next best one since MK9 in my opinion. And that's what my prediction was, and I think they can deliver on that still. The potential is here easily. This is not like a situation where they bungled all the foundation stuff to a point where where there's no chance that they can fix this. It's just a little bit of tweaking here, a little bit of tweaking there, and content. That's it. So, anyways, on that note, that's been our Mortal Kombat 1 review. Just about 3 hours long, so hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the game, pros and cons. Give us the things that you wish were improved. Give us the things that you really love, and everything in between. And thanks for tuning in, and leave a like if you could.
Cage match is 2 weeks away.
Holy shit, is it?
Soon.
Finally. Akia and Jataka that aren't dead.
At least not until the end of the movie. Jataka dies in the trailer.
Did she? I missed that.
Yeah,
bit.
she's the one who is like on fire and he kicks her head off. That's Jataka.
Ah, shit.
Well,
the demons, they respawn. It's fine. Anyway, see you later, nerds.
Yep, take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Still tempted.
Why do you have a nice day?
Smoke it.